Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
100% ready to go. It's been a long time coming, and I just can't wait to be out there. That's why we play football in the SEC, trying to go get it done.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Since I'm the moody one on the show, welcome into TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour here, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. This is the Cool Zone, presented by Holistic Planning, Investment Tax and Estate Planning. OB, we've moved on up, as you said earlier. Mm-hmm. We've now got the Cool Zone sponsored.
Well, we keep moving up.
We do. Holistic
planning.
Taking care of us. Huh. We'll be talking about them throughout the show a little bit. But hey, OB, I feel better after hearing Coach Elko speak yesterday. And sometimes words shouldn't make you feel better, but he gave me perspective.
What exactly made you feel better?
When he started talking about responding, because I didn't like the middle part of the game, right? Okay. For maybe 3/4 of the game, right? Like I didn't really love it, right? But his response to me or to the group was, when they scored, we scored. When they scored again, we scored. When they took the lead in the fourth quarter with a field goal, we came back and scored a touchdown. It's like the Untouchables.
Yeah, you put one of mine in the hospital. I put one of yours in the morgue, and the morgue was full of pigs.
Yeah, it was full of pigs, and so that made me feel better about the whole game, because what matters is did you win or lose?
You won,
right? And second, every time Arkansas thought they had an answer for A&M, A&M's actually the one who countered.
Yeah. I mean that
means something to me.
That is the glass is half full look at the game, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Then you say, yeah, but had you not gone into a deep freeze for an offensive deep freeze?
I didn't say it was perfect, because, I mean, who wants to be perfect?
I do.
Oh, apparently I do too. But it's not about, I guess my point is, we see some issues that we kind of consider, well, if it's against this team, that's not a win. But for the journey that A&M is on in year one, because that is a storyline. It is a factual part of this story, right? Mm-hmm. He even talked about it yesterday. Like, my team seemed to get better about giving up big plays in year two and on, because you learn the system, you have experience, the communication, all that, right? But while we're on this journey, and it's been a bumpy 4-1 ride, right? It hasn't all been super easy. On this journey, if you're going to learn by winning, and learn by responding to adversity, I'm here for it.
I am too, but let's be honest. There's some, and I know you agree with this. There's some great opportunities for this year.
Oh,
and and a big key to it is this week. And if you can clean up that communication that leads to big plays, and if you can avoid that deep freeze, that offensive deep freeze for an extended period, the possibilities for this team, because you have some really excellent talent, the possibilities and the matchups for the rest of the season, there's some great things that can be accomplished. So let's put a rush on that
100%.
On fixing these things.
So the way I look at it too is, I don't care if you're the prettiest girl invited to the prom. Just get invited to the prom, right? Like don't be at home watching Grey's Anatomy. I know you do that on Thursday nights. Is that when it's on? I don't know.
I wouldn't.
Is it still on?
Know.
I don't even know.
I wouldn't know.
You seem like a Grey's Anatomy kind of guy. You and Irma.
Irma watched that show like crazy. Yeah. I didn't.
Elizabeth loved that show too. Anyway, just get invited. So I don't care if you're the prettiest lady at the prom or not, because if you get invited, and when I say invited, I'm hoping to get invited to the playoffs. That's not necessarily where I think A&M's trajectory is right now. But guess what? You win this weekend.
It is.
it becomes part of the conversation.
Oh, I think you become right in the thick of it.
Because you would be favored again against Mississippi State after your bye week.
Yes, you will.
You will be favored, I assume, in that situation against LSU? I would assume?
I would think so. I don't.
If you're favored against Missouri, wouldn't you be favored against
I would think so.
Okay, but not for sure. That game at Kyle Field has been good to A&M the last few years.
Yes, it has.
Okay. Who am I missing after that?
Well, then you get South Carolina on the
that's
road.
That's a hard game.
It's always difficult up in Columbia. You have a better roster than South Carolina, but they play hard and they play well at home.
Let me make sure I clarify this too. I'm not suggesting that they're going to win all these games. What I'm saying is it does then become, if you're allowed to talk about Texas winning these games ahead on their schedule, if you're allowed to talk like, hey, Texas, they're going to be favored against Georgia. They're going to be at home. They're the number 1 or 2 team in the country, and Georgia's struggling. If you're allowed to do that with Texas, if you're allowed to do that with Alabama, I'm allowed to do it on TexAgs about A&M. I'm not predicting they're going to win all these games because I know how SEC games for A&M go, right? They're tight.
Especially on the road.
Especially on the road.
I've seen good teams lose in Starkville.
And I've seen a good A&M team lose at home.
Yes, I have.
So this is not about predicting. This is me talking about scenarios that are
possibility.
That you can grab.
They're not pie in the sky possibilities. These are actual attainable goals.
November 1st, 2021. I just chose that date, okay? You don't need to remember it completely. Ballpark-ish around that time, okay? Maybe it was the end of October, or there was a couple of games left in A&M's football season, okay?
Yeah.
And even though in my heart I did not think they were going to get invited or make it to the SEC championship game, there was a path to get there.
There was a great path. They almost made it.
You had to beat Ole Miss on the road.
Yep.
And you gave that game away in the fourth quarter.
You did not. Well, I think you put yourself in a hole.
You started in a hole, came back, had a chance, then pick 6 interception.
Yeah,
That's how that game ended. LSU, game should have ended with Damani, but it didn't. And then you gave up a big play to Max Johnson.
20 seconds to go.
Right? But had you won those games, you would have been in the conversation because you would have needed Alabama to lose to Auburn, which was a possibility.
Well, Alabama won that game like in the last minute or last
couple plays.
You would have been
holding
your breath.
We're just talking scenarios. Now, the flip side to that scenario.
You still got to go to Auburn, too.
They look like a train wreck, but I think Peyton Thorne looked a little better.
They're a train wreck.
Yeah.
But I saw A&M lose to a train wreck.
Oh, my goodness.
An even bigger train wreck.
The biggest train wreck.
So the last time they were there. So I don't take any SEC game for granted, especially on the road.
This is what I'm happy about. And it's too early to be too happy because, people thought I was a little disappointed. I'm not disappointed. I'm intense. At least we can have this conversation today. Because you lose to Arkansas, you're not having this conversation today. You lose to Bowling Green.
Can you get bowl eligible?
Right.
What's it going to take to be bowl eligible?
So at this point, we're having discussions, and SEC Nation's coming to town for a big showdown, and a Missouri team that is also having similar conversations that A&M is like, got to figure out this offense. They're averaging 38.5 points a game. We'll get into that in a moment, but they have questions too on both sides of the ball. They're like, when are we going to be the Missouri team that we expected to be? Well, the team that we were last year. We got to get Luther Burden the ball more.
Yes, they do. I wonder if their offensive line had, and I haven't figured this out yet, I wonder if their offensive line had a lot of changes or any significant changes.
I've heard their offensive line has struggled this year.
But I wonder if it's different personnel.
So
I guess I need to look that up.
Brady Cook. Probably, no, there's no problem. He's a better quarterback, thrower of the football than Taylor Green.
Yes.
Okay? He can get it to his receivers. He can make his reads, correct?
He can make his reads faster than Taylor Green.
So you better get to him. But by the way, he is not as slippery as Taylor Green. That's
true.
a fact.
That's true. He's a nice athlete. It's kind of like Connor Wigman in that he's a quarterback who can run, but not necessarily a running quarterback.
Right.
Whereas Marcel,
he's a running
quarterback.
Who, by the way, in the last game, even though they struggled for a bit, stayed in the pocket much more than I'm used to.
Yeah, and maybe that was counterproductive.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is if this defensive line, which it does seem to be doing this, right? Numbers are starting to follow. We saw them in the backfield quite a bit. Now some of the numbers are starting to follow. if they're able to get in the backfield, because they did not get Taylon Green several times that they almost had him, and that's a credit to Taylon Green. If they're able to get in the backfield on Brady Cook, I think those are sacks.
Yeah, they would be. But what worries me is that I don't think A&M was covering very well across the middle on crossing routes, and Taylon just, I guess he was, shell-shocked or whatever.
Good.
And there were some times that he had open receivers, he didn't take it, and I'm afraid that Brady Cook can recognize it and get on the ball.
He can, and
so it's supposed to be hard. They're ranked number 9.
Pretty much any SEC game outside of typically Vandy, which would be hard now,
which
right?
took Missouri into overtime.
But outside of Vandy, for the most part, maybe Mississippi State, although they did play Texas tough for a little while, but then it got out of hand. I expect most SEC games to come down to a few plays in the fourth quarter. Not always, but that's kind of my expectation.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's mine too, because I want to see an offense that goes out. And I still think if you score 30 points, of course, now it's right the way A&M's defense is playing. If you score 21, you win. But score 30 points, I expect you to win. But can A&M score 30?
Well, here's something that I think should be a talking point. Turnover margin.
Excellent.
A&M's causing turnovers, and they're not turning the ball over right now.
They had 2 in the first 2 interceptions, and then, Le'Veon got stripped from behind
Bowling Green.
Against Bowling Green. I think that's it.
That's it. And they're forcing 1 to 3 turnovers a game.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, pretty much. I'm trying to think, how many did we have against Bowling Green? Couple?
Well, I know there was 1 interception.
Yeah, just the Marcus Radcliffe interception.
Excuse me, just 1, the Marcus Radcliffe one. That's it. So anyway, the turnover margin is heavily favored A&M. Fourth quarter games, if you're the team that turns the ball over less and you force more turnovers, gives you more opportunities to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I even with the big playability of Missouri, I feel good enough about that A&M defense to think, okay, they're not going to go out and score, 30 plus. Missouri's not. I feel that.
They averaged 36.5 points per game, but
like 50 something of them was Murray State, and then 38-0 against Buffalo. Since they played, Boston College was 27-21. Vandy was 30-27 in overtime, and if Vandy had a kicker, they would have won the game in regulation.
Right. So you got to think maybe A&M's offense isn't as good as Vanderbilt's offense. Maybe. A&M's defense, you would think, is better than Vandy's defense.
Well, A&M's going to need to run, and then this is how close A&M's offense is. It's as close as getting the ball
to an open receiver.
Back-to-back games to Noah Thomas for touchdowns. And the last one, first play of the third quarter, they almost pulled a Bowling Green. Mm-hmm. And Noah is behind the defense, and how much they missed that? By inches?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're close.
Game feels so different if that happens, by the way.
You hit that, and all of a sudden Arkansas is starting to play back a little more, and maybe Le'Veon starts that dominant running even before the fourth quarter.
Cool Zone, as I mentioned, brought to you by Holistic Planning. Their team of fiduciary advisors and CPAs collaborate to optimize every aspect of your financial life because your money deserves better. Call them up at 936-800-0800 or visit holisticplanning.com. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it multiple ways. You can call us or text us. If you call us, we'll pick it up on the Boss Firearms Hotline, 979-693-1150. You can text that number as well. Let's go behind the glass. We talked to Nick Savage, our director extraordinaire. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up with you?
Well, something I brought up last week with Arkansas is just kind of looking at their offensive numbers. They were kind of inflated due to their competition, and something I don't think we've really touched too much on just yet is Missouri's defensive numbers. If y'all can see that, they're allowing 12 points per game and holding opponents to 219 yards per game average. But y'all were just talking about that schedule. If you look at it, they play Buffalo, Vanderbilt. Just how much stock do y'all put in those numbers right now? Because their defense looks good on paper, at least.
OB, as we were discussing a moment ago, Mizzou's defense if you just look at statistics, looks pretty good, giving up 12 points a game. But how much stock do you put into it considering the opponents that they've played?
Well, I think that gives you some pause because they shut out their first two opponents, Buffalo and Murray State. A lot of teams would shut those guys out. And then, they're not bad. Like I said, held Boston College 21, so did Western Kentucky, by the way. And they held Vanderbilt to 27. I would take 27 and feel pretty good about it.
Is this the hopeful Nuño here that I think Arkansas's defense might be better than Missouri's, at least against A&M?
I think
the way they played A&M.
I think that's the hope. Well, the way they played them.
Because I love their game plan.
But I think if you go game in and game out, I would still take probably Missouri's because Arkansas was, and it wasn't such an issue against A&M, but Arkansas was, I think they entered that game last in the SEC in pass defense.
But they could stop the run.
Yeah, they had.
And A&M
couldn't do it against in the fourth quarter, though.
Yeah, 3 quarters, they did a nice job stopping the A&M run, and then it opened up. All right, let's go to the Angry Elephant news. And so, we're going to be at the Angry Elephant.
Yeah, I kind of heard that yesterday when I was listening to the show.
Friday show at the Angry Elephant. I can't say who might join us because he hasn't confirmed yet.
Okay.
But I'm just going to say there's a high likelihood that a very famous college football talk show host, analyst, whatever he may be.
All right, well, I hope Josh Pate does show up.
I didn't say Josh Pate.
Okay.
I didn't say Josh Pate. I was going to say a guy that likes to work out more than I do. That's all I was going to say. It might be Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah, it might be.
It might be.
Does he like to work out more than you?
He might. Might be Nick Saban. I don't think he's coming, but it might be. I'm not going to say it's Josh Pate.
Okay.
Because he hasn't said yes yet. If he does say yes, he would be somebody that I would invite to hang out with us at the Elephant of Angry.
I actually like his podcast.
Now that I've said it out loud, it probably won't happen, and then he's going to be like, way to go, Nuño. But
I guess I blew it, right?
But I didn't say it was him.
You didn't?
I said it was possible that I'll invite somebody who's very strong.
Well, I knew he was coming to town.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh. Okay, I did know that. Callie Gardner, hello.
What's up, guys?
Why are you laughing?
No, y'all are just make me laugh.
Really?
Yeah, y'all are funny.
Funny how?
Just funny.
Funny like a clown? Do I amuse you?
Do you have any idea what he's talking about right there?
Mm-mm.
Your dad would.
Okay.
Goodfellas. Joe Pesci.
Mm-mm.
This generation.
I just don't get him.
This generation.
This generation. Do you know that? Have you ever heard of the film Goodfellas?
Yes.
You know what it's about?
No.
Mafia.
Ah.
Okay?
Yes. Dad would know what that's about.
Yeah.
Dad
it's
would.
good. In fact,
maybe
what the heck is so funny about me? I cleaned it up.
Are you fake laughing at us now? Like, okay, I feel like I'm on the spot. Nick, you've seen Goodfellas, right? Okay, he's saying yes. Nick can stay in the circle of trust. You're out.
Okay, that's fair.
But I think you're great anyway. What do you have for us with the snap there at the Angry Elephant using Social Center?
Well, I'm always in a good mood every Tuesday if I win my fantasy, and I did. So that's why I'm smiling today.
You hear that?
Hear what?
You hear what's happening in the background?
No.
That's people around town changing the station.
But I work every Tuesday, and it ends every Tuesday, so I'm always going to bring
Congratulations, Callie.
Thank you. But we have news about SEC Special Teams Player of the Week. Our punter, Tyler White, was named Player of the Week. It was his first career weekly SEC honor and the first Aggie punter to receive the weekly recognition since Nick Constantino on September 19th in 2022. He landed 5 punts inside the 10 and 7 inside the 15 and finished with a game-long 58-yard punt to win over Arkansas.
OB, really you said he might have been the best player of the game.
He had I've always said this. Typically, if everybody does their job at the level that he does his job, then A&M's a national championship caliber team.
That dude's been great.
Other than the block punt.
Right.
But he's been great. And, we know he can kick it 60 yards, right? Punt it 60 yards. But when you're dropping, 5 at the 10 or inside, and then 7 or 8, 9 at the 20 or inside, he had such an impact on that game because Arkansas did have like 370 yards rushing, or I'm sorry, of total offense. But they almost always had a long field.
That's exactly right. Galita, what else? Are people typing to you right now?
Just someone in the back room.
I think it was Nick Savage. I was watching him type.
Yeah.
I see everything.
He wanted me to tell OB the name of the team I beat in fantasy.
What's the name of the team you beat?
Olin Buchanan.
Somebody has their whole.
Is that Richard Zaid?
No.
Who is it?
Riley Puig.
Riley Puig used Olin's name. But you are his role model.
I'm honored.
Yeah.
Riley Puig is good.
But start winning then.
He's also 0 for 4. So.
Yeah, I was about to say,
well.
OB, he's not. Well,
see
I
my
guess OB
picks.
can't hear me. Tell OB Riley's not doing a great job of honoring
That's
OB
O
with
for
his
Olin.
record.
Yeah, he's.
Nick says Riley is not doing a good job honoring your name. So
Oh, well.
what are you going to do? All right, one more and then we got to go.
Yes, sophomore Jake Maggart finished the day yesterday, tied for 14th at 4 under 140 to pace a group of 4 Texas A&M men's golfers that are participating in the Bayou City Collegiate Classic.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you. All right, that's Kali at the Angry Elephant News Center, News and Social Center. I don't know why I said it with an accent there, Kali.
My nickname, and then you
Calita,
just stopped.
and then I
Yeah,
stopped. It was
yeah.
like a...
It was like a mix.
Thank you, Callie. Appreciate you very much. OB, do you think, this is a horrible segue, but do you think Mr. Rogers would like Prize Picks? Because it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood when you make money, and I think you can make some money with Prize Picks.
Yeah, he makes afford some more of those sweaters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see him with like the talking animals thing, like, kind of going through who he picked.
Yeah, say, hey, who you got?
Yeah.
What do you think about so-and-so?
More than, less than.
Yeah.
I don't know any of the people on the show.
I didn't.
My parents didn't let me watch it. But I know it was a very popular show. Anyway, prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs. You'll receive $50 guaranteed dollars once you play $5 lineups. If you're wondering, what is Prize Picks? It's daily fantasy sports. And it's the biggest in North America. They're the easiest, most exciting way to play DFS. It's you against the numbers. So instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than 2 to 6 players' stat projections, and you can watch the winnings roll. Again, that website is prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs. I didn't have a great week, but for the most part, I'm winning, and you can win too. If I can win, you can all win. prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Lucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Lucci sent you by.
We are TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. He's Olin Buchanan.
I am.
I'm David Nuño.
You are.
Thank you. And we talk football for the most part on this show.
There's never a bad time to talk about college football.
Unless your team's really bad.
Well, even then, you talk about somebody else because it's the greatest game. It's the greatest sport in
Can't argue
America.
with you there. Can we do a little performance of the week
Let's
action?
do.
Okay. And I have a feeling if I gave you 4 or 5 opportunities to predict who I would have on the list, you'd probably hit 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
You get the first one.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take the lowest of the low-hanging fruit from that game.
Okay. Do it.
Yeah. Nick Scorton.
Nick Scorton.
Nick Scorton. When you only have 4 tackles, first of all, as a defensive end, I said only. I mean, a defensive line, 4 tackles is pretty good. But they're all tackles for loss.
All 4.
And you also, I think, break up a pass and force a fumble that clinches the win.
Clinches the win, yes.
And you have 2 He was just a certified badass.
He was the guy that we thought we'd see. And by the way, we are seeing.
He was spectacular. He was so dominant. I think that poor left tackle from Arkansas, he's probably going to be waking up in cold sweat thinking 11, 11, 11.
Let's do another low-hanging fruit. If I gave you an opportunity to go offensively, don't be offensive, but offensively.
Well, I'd go Le'Veon Moss.
Why is that?
Because he ran for 90 yards in the 4th quarter and had a career high. Yeah, it's pretty dang good. Pretty good. What was it? A career high 117 yards rushing. He's Le'Veon Moss is in the midst of making a strong case. It's early. So he's got to keep it up, but he's making a strong case for all SEC recognition.
Yeah, he is. He absolutely is. Okay, I'm going to give you an opportunity for a special teamer who was very special. See, I think you're going to guess as much as I guess.
Yeah, Tyler White.
What?
Man, he was outstanding. It seems like the whole game I'm looking up and watching Isaiah Satania take a fair catch at the 10.
Yeah, yep.
Again, Arkansas's offense, Arkansas has a good offense. It's not great, but it's a good offense. And they can move the ball. But when you're constantly having to go 90 yards, quite frankly, your point potential is reduced dramatically. And
How many points did they score?
17.
If A&M gives up less than 20 points a game,
you should always win.
You should. I need the offense to, but yes, you should. If you're going to win a lot of games if you're giving up 17 to 20 points a game.
Yes, you are.
I'm going to give you one more. Okay. Do I give you a little hint who I think it is, or do I just let you say, here's the baton?
You want me to guess?
Guess.
Noah Thomas.
Oh, boom.
Yeah, he had an outstanding day. And he almost had a spectacular. Again, he was open on a deep ball. If he catches it, he finishes with
almost 200 yards.
With almost 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
How long would have a touchdown would that have been?
It would have been 75 yards.
75, yeah.
And he finished with what, 109? 109? Okay, so 184.
Is that fantastic? I think it's fantastic.
That's fantastic. And 2 touchdowns.
One thing I've said a couple different times, I know the big touchdown is what we look at, but I liked how much of a target he was beyond that. I think he had 6 catches in total. Mm-hmm. He seemed to be part of the offensive flow. Like there was like a concerted effort to get him the ball.
He looks in that game, and he looks like he may be starting to emerge as that number 1 receiver that they've been looking for. And let me throw one other guy.
You can throw it. Yeah.
I'm going to throw 2. Just the honorable mentions.
All right, Lucci.
Yeah, it's a Lucci thing. I think Shamar Stewart, was. He set the Aggies up for a 10-yard touchdown drive, and then that interception that Des Ricks made. The only problem I have with that is Des. It was a great play. Keep your feet. You got 40 yards to run.
Yeah. By the way, we would have added 1 more had he been able to make the catch. Cassius Howell. How close was that to a pick 6?
That was so close to being a pick 6.
That would have been phenomenal. All right. So maybe we should reach out to 1775 and offer this. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Say, hey guys, we do the performance of the week on Tuesdays. Mm-hmm. Maybe we should just set up a table every Tuesday after the show and do a performance of the week chow down.
Except they're not open on Tuesday.
That's right. But maybe on this special occasion they could.
They could just do it for us.
Just do it for us.
Just go in there and make that magic barbecue just for us.
Actually, we would be there just to observe the situation, let Le'Veon and the team?
No, I want to eat.
Oh, you're going to eat too?
How can I look at that food and not want to partake?
If they said to you, all right, Olin, we're going to allow you 2 pieces of food, all right?
Yeah.
Like it could be a meat and a carb, it can be whatever, right? You get 2 options. You get the 2 picks.
Yeah.
What are your top 2 picks in the draft?
Pork ribs and brisket.
Okay, so you're not going carb at all.
Oh, I'm carnivore first.
All right. Okay, so your offensive coordinator, your protein coordinator would go with what?
The pork ribs and the brisket.
And then your defensive coordinator, also known as your carb coordinator, would pick what?
Queso mac and cheese.
See.
Queso mac and cheese is the food equivalent to Nick Scorton.
I like the way you operate. That's a good thought right there. They're open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold out. Online ordering turns off at 10 a.m. 8203 Raymond Stotzer Parkway in College Station, 979-492-6241. Check out the website, 1775txbbq.com. We are TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Maroon never looks so good. With Maroon U, David Nuño, Olin Buchanan. OB, a couple things I wanted to get into. First off, I liked what Coach Elko had to say about we've got to do, I forget how he phrased it, but do a better job of giving some space to Terry, right? We've got to get some balls to be able to have some type of punt return action, because there really has been very little. I just want to see that guy with the ball in space, right? Like catching the ball, because I feel like even in the offense, every time we see him getting the ball, it's around people. It's either a jet sweep, I want to see him on a slant completely open and taking it up the middle. I want to see him maybe on a fade route. I want to see him in a punt return situation where he actually has a step to show what I think he can be.
Yeah, the punting situation basically been giving credit to the opposing punters that are punting it high. And Terry, I think what's underrated is making a clean, fair catch. You know, I mean, I'm always like, just don't fumble it, right? But I'm with you.
He's done that.
I'm with you. I think he could do things that Christian Kirk did and like Anaya Smith did, you know, get him the ball. And, you know, he showed us the speed he had against McNeese, and he can be a exciting player. I remember they tried to run a bubble screen, I think, to him against Florida, and you know somebody missed a block terribly, and so he never really got a chance. But yeah, I would love to see what Terry can do. You know, if you can just get a little space around him.
Yeah, give him just. And again, I think that goes for a lot of the position.
Well, they put him in as kind of a running back this last week.
I've seen that. In a way, kind of like I think they want him to be an Anais type player. You can use him multiple different ways. I want to see him get the ball. I do want to see him get the ball.
I think they're trying to, you know, do when what was I used to say he was the Christian Kirk of South Carolina. Funny name with the Niners. Funny name with the Niners.
Debo Samuel.
Debo Samuel. Thank you. You know, I could see him try to.
But Debo's
look, once the ball's in your hand, is he going to stop and pose? He's not going to do a Nuño. He's just going to run.
When's the last time I posed?
Just the other day. but no, just get the. I would think as long as he's on offense, they're probably looking at him as, hey, we can do some things with him, and he can be a jack of all trades.
Did you see, and I'm sure you did, Big Ten, SEC talking about a potential scheduling partnership?
I did not see it, but I'm not surprised because basically there's only two conferences anyway. Everybody else is just window dressing.
This is for the next round of playoff discussions here at the end of 26 to start. And they have a Big Ten SEC joint advisory group, which I think they got together a few months back, I think almost a year ago actually. And one of the discussion points or pieces that they're trying to get on the same page on is having this partnership from a scheduling perspective if the SEC does go to 9 conference games, which there hasn't been a rush to do that recently.
They're going to have to. I think they'll go to, in 2026, that's what my bet is, they'll go to 9 conference games.
So let's talk that through. 9 SEC games and a Big Ten game.
Yes.
So what we consider as a good season could change, right? You're going to have the real halves, maybe the Bamas, the Georgias, maybe the Michigans, Ohio States, whatever. Those teams will probably still continue being in the 11-1, 12-2 range. But I think adding another legit Big Ten team to an SEC schedule or adding another SEC team to a Big Ten schedule, it's going to hurt the Big Ten more than it hurts the SEC. My point is there's going to be the way we look at what a good season is, it's going to start to evolve.
I think you're going to look at a good season by did you get in the playoff?
Yeah.
And it'll eventually be 16 teams. And then it'll absolutely be that. But, you know.
This is to have a guarantee automatic 4 spots for each conference.
I think that would, heck, if it was up to me, they'd play 10 SEC games, 10 conference games. But 9 and a game against a Big Ten team, and then, you know, two guaranteed wins, or what should be guaranteed wins. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Look, I'm watching Tennessee, right? We talked about that last week, and they're now charging an extra fee for their fans to their fans for NIL. And then they're going to come say, you need to buy, you need to make a donation and, buy all these things so you can get tickets. Buy. Oh, and will you also give us a donation just to help? They're always asking for more and more and more from your fans. They're bleeding them dry. At least then give them some more good football games.
I agree.
So don't be afraid of having to play. Oh my gosh, we're going to have to play Maryland.
Well, as a fan,
Rutgers.
As a fan, I kind of want. That's how my brain works. I'm sorry, it's just me. I want the easiest path possible, right?
Then you should have stayed in the Big 12.
The easiest path possible in the SEC.
Okay.
That's what I want. Because obviously it's not that I don't. A&M has not arrived yet, right? They've had these knocks, but they haven't arrived. So I want to arrive, be able to take advantage of arriving for a couple years, get the kind of players that A&M needs to be in this conversation. Because I felt like we were in that world, then we realized, well, actually we were just taking stars, not taking. There was not a balance on the roster, and there was the wrong kind of fit for this roster. I want to win and be able to recruit after winning for more than 1 year.
You're going to have to be, if you want to be a great team, you're going to have to be great teams anyway.
Yeah.
So I say embrace the possibility. Plus, you played Notre Dame this year. Who are you going to play in the Big Ten that's going to be better? Okay, maybe in some years Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State.
USC some years?
Some year, well,
Oregon?
They haven't been that way. Oregon, we think.
Right.
But how many times are you going to get Purdue, Wisconsin, Illinois? Illinois is not a pushover this year, but quite frankly, Maryland, Rutgers, Northwestern.
Do you think, just out of curiosity,
Nebraska.
Not to give a thought to a 20-year-old man, but do you think Evan Stewart regrets leaving?
No, because right now they're well, first of all, he's probably getting a lot of money from Oregon. I think that's what Evan Stewart's motivation is. I think he's more worried about that than wins and losses.
Well, he would have been their A&M's primary receiver.
He would have been. He was last year. He was projected to be last year, even with an IS there.
Yeah, and I think he and Ja'Day Walker had the same amount of catches, or pretty close to that, right? You look at what he did last year through 4 games. I'm just going to give you that.
Yeah, because he had a huge first 2 games.
Game 1, looks like he had 8 catches, 115. Game 2, 11, 42. Yeah, Game 3, 3 catches for 50. Game 4, it looks like 2 catches for 50. And then in a loss to Alabama, 3 catches for 46 yards. He had 514 yards at this point. I believe Evan Stewart's got 118 yards this year. So, just saying, for an offense that doesn't throw the ball that much, apparently, he was getting the ball significantly more.
I think if he's getting significantly more money from Phil Knight, that he's fine with it.
3 catches game 1, 5 catches game 2, 3 catches game 3, 3 catches game 4. For 9 yards, by the way. 3 yards, 3 carries, 3 catches for 9 yards.
I watched him catch a touchdown pass against Boise State, and I saw him drop one against Boise State. Look, he's a talented guy, but and he may, maybe he does, even though I don't think he does, because I think they're playing a more physical brand of football in the SEC, and clearly it was shown to me in Miami he's a guy that doesn't want to play physical football.
All right, we're going to talk a little bird dog for a moment. So I talked to Jonathan Lusk yesterday. We've got the hunt scheduled. Bird Dog, an Aggie-owned operated company creating access to hunting opportunities. It's an Airbnb for hunters and hunting. And I don't have all the specifics because we're still working on who's going to be there with me. But it's going to be a TexAgs personality that you're quite aware of. But it is November the 6th through the 8th in Brady, Texas, an all-inclusive hunt. Come down to Brady, Texas for a 2-night upland shoot with some Aggie legends. There could be some guided hunting, skeet shooting, axe throwing, cold beverages, Aggie fellowship, and live music. Tickets are $2,000 per hunting. There's only 14 spots available. So if you want to go, just go to birddogit.com/TXAGS hunt. So that is birddogit.com/TXAGS hunt. And I think you're going to have a great time going. I'm going to be there November the 6th or the 8th. So that's during the second bye week in Brady, Texas. birddogit.com/TXAGS hunt. TexAgs Live presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, proud corporate sponsor of Aggie Athletics and of this show since day one, 911 University Drive East in College Station. They have a wide selection of Rolex timepieces for both men and women. Stop by David Gardner's Jewelers and meet with certified Rolex specialists there to get you the right gift. Shop online at davidgardnersjewelers.com. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Callie Gardner is there. Callie, I know we got some text messages and some news to finish the segment with.
Yes, we have a text from Ross from east of East Texas, and he says, we want more premium football games. The top 25 college football stadiums have 21 from the SEC and the Big Ten. The other 4 are Clemson, Notre Dame, Florida State, and Temple. Look at all the teams who didn't play a good football team before conference play started. OB is right. If you're going to drain the fans, give us something back.
Yeah, let's be, I think this place across the street is very special, that if it's a Bowling Green or New Mexico, people are going to come even during a rough season. We've seen that over the years, right? This is an incredible fan base. But there's a different energy and buzz. Hey, Buzz. Different energy and buzz when Missouri's coming down, when SEC teams come to your stadium. It just feels different around town. It's not even in the stadium. It's all around this community.
Yeah, if I was in charge of scheduling, I would, I'm in favor of playing an FCS team to help them, right? So I would open up the season against an FCS team at home, first game, because people will be excited just because football's back. Mm-hmm. And then I would, play somebody the likes of UTSA, a lesser D1 school, and then get right into conference play. Yeah. And somewhere in there, you'd play that Big Ten team, maybe in week 3. Even though the Big Ten typically, they'd probably want you to arrange the schedule where you'd play that Big Ten Challenge thing in October, because they don't like coming in. Big Ten teams typically don't like.
They don't want to be here heat.
In September.
Yeah. Before we go back to Cali, sad news yesterday. A couple of different big pieces of news. Kembe Mutombo passing away. That happened during the show when I was talking with Billy, unfortunately. And then later on that evening, we found out that Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose, passed away. On the field, Pete Rose, iconic, one of the greatest I've seen, just the way he tackled the sport. Just awesome to watch him play.
Played, gave 100% every play, whether it was
all-star game,
whether he's hitting into the gap, or whether he, was a slow roller, or even a 2-bounce hit to the second baseman. He's still going 100%. The way coaches always try to teach players to play in all sports. That's the way he approached it.
I interviewed him several times when I worked at Rivals, when I worked at ABC, when I worked at 1560. First time I interviewed him is when he first started dating a lady by the name of Kiana Kim, who I believe he was still dating to this day, Playboy model. He wanted her to be the focus of the interview, not me, or not himself, I'm sorry. And then I interviewed him several times. He came to studio when the Astros cheating scandal had happened to give his perspective. If I remember correctly, he wasn't too hard on the Astros.
What are the odds?
Right. But
sure he knew.
I believe most people who had interactions with him said he was awesome.
Yeah. I knew guys in baseball, and all of them that I knew loved the guy.
Yeah. Hall of Famer?
Well, without the
no, I'm saying, do you think they should put him in?
I would. I mean, I would have him in. I'd have Shoeless Joe in, and I'd have Clemens and
Barry
Bonds in. I mean, because
but Clemens, he's one that I don't think they were ever able to prove he did anything, right? Yeah. We just know, but they weren't able to prove it.
Now the way I look at it is baseball let it happen.
Yeah,
they knew. George Bush told us. And baseball, hey, they were making a lot of money because roided up guys were hitting home runs. And everybody got excited about it.
This is the way I look at it, and maybe I'm stupid. I apologize if kids are listening. If you cheated on a test your junior year of high school, and you are 30 years old, and it comes out that you cheated on a test your junior year of high school, I don't think they should take away your diploma. I think it happened, move on.
Well, I would think this, from my understanding, is Pete Rose bet on his team.
Yeah. To win!
And I know you're not supposed to win, and he can... I'd be more forgiving for that. No, if he'd ever thrown a game, okay, I get that. If there's ever any indication that he threw it, and then you can say, yeah, but if he's betting on his team, maybe he's manipulating his.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah, I get it.
I understand all that. You look at his numbers, and what he meant to the game of baseball, I think he's a Hall of Famer. Just like I don't like Barry Bonds at all. I don't, okay? Mm-hmm. He was a Hall of Famer before the whole steroid thing with him.
Right.
He was a Hall of Famer with Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'd put him in. I'd put Sosa, McGuire, all those guys.
Yeah. Palmeiro?
As well as Peter. Yeah.
Come on, Team Cuba, let's go.
Of course.
You guys go to the same meetings, I know.
He's taken a lot of performing enhancing. A lot of performance-enhancing drugs. Some of them aren't even illegal.
Oh. Kelly, I hope you don't know what that means.
A little blue pill.
Do you know? Okay, don't Google it. Just don't. Okay, whatever you do, don't Google it. OB, thank you, sir.
Yep.
When we come back on TexAgs, Nick, did you know what he's talking about? Okay, all right. Nick knows a lot for being a young man. He knows quite a bit. When we come back on
more when he's an old man.
Jamie McCoy. We'll have Jamie Morrison. We'll have the KBTX Roundtable. We'll have Jordan Pugh. And we will have a Jarod Hamilton from PowerMizzou.com to get a little insight when it comes to Missouri. That and, of course, your phone calls and your text messages at 979-693-1150. You're listening to TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations, has come to an end. Oh, I'm on the air. What am I looking at? I'm looking at the wrong monitor. This has happened twice now in the last week, Nick. It is TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, hour number 2 of the program. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can text us at 979-693-1150, or you can call us up on the Boss Firearms hotline. We're going to talk to Jamie McCoy in a second. Speaking of Boss Firearms, they are our premier gun and accessory shop. They've got all you need to build your next firearm. Check them out at bossfirearms.com. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Callie Gardner. Callie, a text came in that really is an important one to read.
Yes, we have a text from Shane in South Carolina, and he says, just wanted to text in and say we were hit pretty hard by the hurricane here in upstate of South Carolina and western North Carolina, and most have had no power, flooding, destroyed homes due to falling trees. Even without power, we've been streaming TexAgs Live on our phones, and you guys have helped keep our spirits up and provide a badly needed distraction.
Well, Shane, send your address to Callie. We're going to try to get you something. If we're somewhere we can mail you something. I know it's a terrible situation there, and we're praying for you, and I'm happy that we can at least provide a little bit of entertainment, and hopefully we can meet one day, shake some hands. All right, let's go right now to the Boss Firearms hotline. Jamie McCoy joining us to talk a little football here. Jamie, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, David. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good, and I want to start this off with a text or a chat on TexAgs Live on the chat, just to get your perspective on it, and I'll give mine as well. Okay. Legalize Ag says, can we be clear about our win against Arky? They definitely beat themselves, and we capitalized on it. We didn't outright beat them, and that's what makes me nervous against Mizzou. Give me your take, then I'll give you my take.
My take to that is I absolutely think we beat them. The game was 60 minutes, and we had more points at the end of it. I would say we beat ourselves when we didn't get the sack to start the game out and gave up a 70-yard touchdown. I'd say we beat ourselves when we let them run a fake punt on us and get their second touchdown. We beat ourselves when we missed multiple opportunities to stay on the field as an offense and get first downs, missing throws, missing guys. And then, yeah, like I said, I believe we won that game outright because we made the plays that we needed to play. It's not like they just let us sack their quarterback or our guys blitz just because. That was part of the game plan, and we went out there and got it done. And when the clock read 0, we were winning at the end of the game. So that's just, to me, that's like I got buddies like that are kind of, they're Ags, but they're pessimist Ags. Like, even when we win, it's like, I didn't like how we won, so we suck. It's like, man, are you an Aggie or not? If you're not, go root for another team. That's how I feel about it. A win is a win on any day. And had we lost that game, he'd been crying about something else. So I take the wins when we can get them, because there's been, as all Ags know, there's been plenty of times where we've been on the other end of that, and it's not fun. I know Arkansas fans aren't happy right now, so I feel good about it. I'm on to the next.
Jamie, I want to get back to that because I don't think I'm pessimistic Ag. I think I'm more realistic Ag. So we'll get into that thought in a minute, okay? But okay. I'm not going to apologize for Arkansas making mistakes that we created, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Because, they made some mistakes. Guess who made that happen? The defensive line forcing Taylon Green into havoc, right? Those are the mistakes that they made. The defense is the reason that they made the mistakes that they made. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is, as you mentioned a moment ago, A&M has been on the other side of these mistakes throughout the years. I'm also not going to apologize for making less mistakes than the other team. Sorry, that's called football, and that's what Mike Elko talked about at the beginning of the season, is a disciplined football team that doesn't make a lot of mistakes, that wins the line of scrimmage. How do they win that game? They won that game by winning the line of scrimmage. That's why they won. So I don't apologize for that.
Yeah, me neither. And you're absolutely right. One, defense did win us that game. Special teams played a factor as well, especially with our punter pinning them deep and not making them have to go 80, 90, 80, 70 yards if they were going to score. But defense absolutely won us that game. And I'm happy to say that, because in some cases this year, we're going to need the offense to win us a game. And we're going to need the special teams to win us a game, whether it be Bond making kicks or whatever the case may be. But anytime one facet of the game is able to actually win it for you, I mean, that's you just got to take it with a grain of salt and say, hey, we'll pick you up on the other end. But no, defense absolutely did that. And your second point, yeah, I mean, I love that we took hold of what we needed to. I mean, that defensive line played with their hair on fire. The scheme was good. I don't think that quarterback was able to like get his bearings all game. It seemed like he always had to be moving. Now, granted, their receivers made some great plays. I know number 2 made a few great catches. Tesla, whatever his name is, he had a good day. But for the most part, I think our DBs were in the right place at the right time. We never let, outside of the first opening series, we never let anything get too far astray. So I was absolutely proud of the boys and the effort that they put on tape.
Talking to Jamie McCoy here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. This gets realistic, Ag, okay? Some people didn't think I was very excited about the win on Saturday. I was super excited about it. That game to me, though, was emotionally draining, Jamie, because for about 2.5, 3 quarters, there was no offense. And I'm like in my mind thinking, how are we going to score? When Arkansas went up 17-14, my gut feeling was that's an insurmountable lead. That's what it felt like. I know it wasn't. But my point is, so like some of these games where I'm like, that's how much I love this team. It should hurt. Every play should be like an emotional roller coaster, right? And I think all of us have our different ways of processing. So when I look at, I'm an Aggie. I don't think we're going to go 12-0. Will A&M have another loss on this schedule? Probably, right? But I do like to look at it in these short segments, right? And kind of like a team should look at it week by week. And now you move to Missouri game week. And now I'm like, here are the reasons they can win. Here's some reasons that I'm concerned with. But when I'm at Kyle Field, it's all about winning that game. And before the game starts, like that hour before, I'm antsy. I can't wait. Like the game sometimes takes a toll on me, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, my wife will tell you she can typically she can't be watching the game with me because I might say some things I shouldn't be saying, especially in front of the kids. But that's just how I am. It's my heart's on my sleeve. It's like you say, I'm hanging on to every play. Now, going back to the game, this was the first time in moments I was like, man, where's Connor? Like, shoot, we could use some Connor right now. Missing throws, like I said, that were open. Missing guys that were open. Now, that's kind of twofold because at the end of the day, Marcel played the whole game, and he found a way to get it done. He made some plays with his legs. He made some passes, whether it be the Trey Watson touchdown, the Noah Thomas touchdown. He did what he needed to do, and with him being so young and this being if he does start this week, his 4th start, the good thing is he's winning and he's figuring it out on the fly. So there's absolutely potential and room for growth. But yes, this was the first time I found myself saying, man, do we need to get somebody else in here? If we lose this, I'm absolutely ready to go back to our original starter. But that's my little bit of pessimism coming out there. But so I still have a little bit of that. But no, for him to get it done, I think he gives us the best chance to go out there and get this thing done on Saturday. I love that it's an 11 a.m. game. Wake up, eat your breakfast, go stretch. You headed out to do the walk. You go in there, and it's just go time. You don't watch any other games. You don't see any other upsets or anything. I love that it's an early game. And with Missouri, I think that they present, like you said, I think they present some things that could hurt us. The only guy I'm worried about on defense is Burton. He's an absolutely phenomenal slot receiver. But I think Elko will be able to present some things to that quarterback. And if he doesn't get it out of his hands quick, if we can just tackle well, I think we should be able to get through this thing.
I want to talk a little bit more Marcel because I'm kind of in a weird spot with the whole Marcel Connor because I want to see what Connor can do. But I'm loving what I'm seeing from Marcel. And while the passes were not there for 90% of that game, right? What was there was poise in the pocket, poise in the fourth quarter. A quarterback that did not seem, he was unflappable, it felt like, right? He hasn't turned the ball over. He's been a leader. He communicates well with his teammates. There's something about him that I'm intrigued to see more, but that doesn't mean I want to close the door on Connor, because I do want to see Connor. So, like, it's totally what happens at practice, and Coach Elko is going to be the one that can tell us, like, this is, and Coach Klein, right? Like, so, but I don't want to close the door on either of them. I kind of want to see choose your own adventure and see how it goes, and then kind of reset, choose your adventure and see. That's where I am with it, because I think I see things that Connor can do that Marcel can't do just yet. And there are things that Marcel does that I don't think Connor can do, and that's the athleticism.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're absolutely right on that. In an ideal world for me, I think we would continue to allow Connor to get rest. Let Marcel go out here. Like I said, it's an early game. Hopefully we got some type of heat involved, some humidity, some things that these guys may not be used to, and that just plays to our advantage. I like to see Marcel go out there, like you said, get it done throwing the ball. I know what he can do with his legs. He's a great leader. Like you said, he's poised, doesn't seem to get rattled. If he can go out there and get this thing done Saturday, I think we're in a great spot with the bye the week after, and then the opponent in Mississippi State where we got to go on the road. But I think that's a very beatable team. So at that point with the bye, I think you allow a lot of guys to get healthy, not just Connor, but whoever else may be deemed that we've had a lot of hits to our O-line. And after Mississippi State, I'm not sure who it is. It might be LSU, but when we get to the meat of that SEC season, there's going to be, as you know, there's going to be guys scheming up things for Marcel, where it may behoove us to have a guy like Connor Wigman who can hit you down the seams and has a better arm, so to speak. Now, not to say that Marcel doesn't have the arm, he just hasn't put it on tape yet. And I know he's ready to do that. I know he's capable of doing that. It's just one of those things where you got to go out there and get it done. And I think he can. I think Marcel does it this weekend, and then we get to the bye, and then we see where the chips fall going towards the second half of the season.
Talking to Jamie McCoy here on TexAgs Live. Let's talk about the tight ends, because while they aren't splashy and they don't get a lot of looks, they're an integral part of what this team is doing, Jamie. Talk a little bit about what you're seeing from the tight ends, because 3 straight games with a touchdown. They may not be like getting a lot of looks, but when they get looks, they seem to capitalize.
Man, they're doing a great job of, like you said, that you hit the nail on the head again. All you can do is control what you can control, and the few opportunities that they are getting, they make the most of them. Like I said, Trey Watson had his touchdown. The fact that we're able to move receivers, tight ends, running backs, whoever it is, in motion and get this jet look and just get the defense's eyes kind of moving across, that's a great thing. Whether with the tight ends, they're great for us in the sense of you can do a cross-action blocking, or you can have that tight end coming around pulling, and then you can just kind of put him out there on the wing and just team up with the right tackle, left tackle, and do his job that way. I think all of our guys are phenomenal blockers. Like I said, with the few opportunities they get, they both seem to be pretty sure-handed. I would just like to see us getting it a little bit more involved. With me, when I was playing tight end, we had a lot of basics, which is 10 to 12 yards over the field, coming over the middle. And I know Donovan he was involved in that a lot. And even seam routes, Theo has caught a few of those already for touchdown. I just would like to see us getting them more involved so that the defense has more to think about. I think getting the tight end more involved is going to open things up more for the Barbers, the Cyrus Allens of the world, Moose Muhammad and Noah. But yeah, a part of that is just staying on the field and getting first downs. I don't think it's a matter of Colin not wanting to use it. I think when you go 3 and out and you got to get off the field, you got to go to another part of your toolbox that you may not have wanted to go to. So if we can stay on the field and extend drives, which Marcel has shown that he's capable of doing, especially in that Florida game, I think that we can utilize the tight end a little bit more. It's just about kind of like how the defense had a great game for us against Arkansas. It's about the offense going out there and doing it and teaming up together and getting it done, which I believe Missouri is a 3-down front. So again, I see us running the ball. More than anything, I would like to see the tight ends put their stamp on blocking and getting Amari and Le'Veon and EJ going this week. I think more than ever, we need to put a stamp on the running game, whether you want to put 7, 8 in the box. And then when they do that, we got to capitalize, and these receivers got to go make a play downfield that says, we can't load the box. These guys are dangerous. So it's just a matter of our offense going to click. And, gosh, this is game 6. It's time to start clicking. If you're not going to click now, we're too far gone in the season. We might have to make switch some things up. So I think the guys know that it's time to put something on tape and get this thing done.
Well, Noah Thomas is a guy that finally got things done, and I mean that with respect. We've been waiting for a Noah-type performance. He ended up giving it. What did you see from Noah?
Oh, Noah looked great. The route that he scored that touchdown on was awesome. I love what he's done out there blocking on the touchdown that Trey had. He was a key part of that, keeping his guy out there on the edge. Noah has just been great. I don't have anything bad to say about Noah. I just want more splash. Like you said, we need more splash plays, which is 15, 20 yards. We need chunk yardage to just flip the field and flip the momentum. And I know that we have. Cyrus caught one against Florida. I know that we're capable of doing it. It's just calling it and getting it done. And I think Noah stepping out this weekend, it does something for your confidence. No matter who the opponent is, once you feel yourself do something one time, you know that you're capable of doing it again. And I hope that the guys in that room rally around him and say, hey, he had a day. Maybe it's my turn to have a day. I love to see Moose get going. I know Elko always preaches with Moose, it's about consistency. I don't know if that's consistency in practice or going to class. I'm not sure what the deal is, but I know that he could be a weapon for us. And if he's on the sideline, we're not utilizing him the way that we should be. So I hope that he knows that we need him to get involved, especially going into the meat of this SEC. Barber, Cyrus Allen, I think everybody's ready. I think the Aggies go out there and show what we're made of this Saturday. I really do. I think we win this and get some relaxation next week going into the bye, knowing that, hey, we can lick our wounds, get better, and finish off the season strong.
Talking to Jamie McCoy here on TexAgs Live. Defensively, Nick Scored, Shamar Stewart, Shamar Turner, I mean, that front, Albert Regis, whoever you want to put in there, they are starting to live up to – and it's not that it's just been one game, Jamie. Like, yes, the Arkansas game, we saw the sacks, right? But I feel like all season long we'd been seeing them live a little bit in the backfield. Now the results are starting to happen.
Oh, yeah. And I love it. It's time to start pinning our ears back. These teams have been trying to get away with just quick snap and 3-step, and whether you're in the gun, getting the ball out of your hand pretty much in under 2 seconds. And I think this is the weekend that we show and prove that you can't do that against us anymore. I like to see Elko dial up a few more blitzes, a few more exotic looks, and get this quarterback confused. And I think the 12th man is going to play a huge factor. I know, four wins in a row now. Kyle Field should be as loud as ever. I'm expecting like a top 10, top 15 in attendance. And it should be loud. We should be rowdy. I know that it's going to play a factor. And how I really don't understand how this is Missouri's first road game. And I don't understand how they got a bye before us. I don't understand how Bowling Green got a bye before us. Seems like somebody rigged these schedules against the Aggies, but we're going to overcome that. I think, with this being their first road game, some of these guys haven't been in the stadium, been in an atmosphere like this. And I really do think 12th man can make it hard on these guys. And I'm hoping we're able to rattle this quarterback. I know Elko, what he can put on tape. He just hasn't done it this year as far as dialing it up exotically. We've got some pressures off the edge. Number 8, is it Hill? He made a great play on the Arkansas quarterback. I like to see number 1, Bryce. I like to see Bryce coming in on the blitz. I know he used to do that out of the nickel. Torrey and Scooby, everybody get involved. If we can get about 5 sacks, maybe a pick, forced fumble, I think we're cooking with gas this weekend.
Jamie, I appreciate your time, brother. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, David.
Hey, by the way, I haven't looked at your stats, but I had maybe the worst week I've ever had in my pick six. Maybe I got one right. I was horrendous. Do you think you did well?
Yeah. No, mine was good. Do me a favor. I told you Jim Turner was great.
Yeah, he's great.
Tell him that I said hello. I hadn't got to speak to him personally in a while. Will you please let him know that Jamie said hello and hope he's doing well? And then when you talk to Jordan Pugh a little later, say he still can't handle me. Me and Jordan used to have a little feud going back when we were playing. I used to beat him in all the drills. He may try to deny it. Tell him he's still little bro. I love what he's doing on his segment, and don't be scared to reach out.
All right. We may have to clip that and play that for Jordan Pugh a little bit, because I don't think I could do it as poetically as you did.
Please do. Please do. Little bro, I love Jordan.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later, Jamie.
All right. See you, David. Have a good one.
From one Jamie to the next, when we come back on TexAgs Live, Jamie Morrison will be in studio. Right now, we're talking about Rollo Insurance. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. They are a very local company, but they're national, right? You can find them all over the country, but their headquarters is right here in College Station on Highway 6. You can check them out. And here's the thing. When you go around town, you're probably going to see some of their crew, because they're all over the place. Morgan is everywhere. Jackson, Jason, you name it, Keith, they're all over the place. But they want to make sure that you have the best insurance at the best price, and they can take care of your car insurance, your homeowner's insurance, your business insurance, your ranchers, your hobby farmers, you name it. And their priorities are God, family, and country. Check out the website, rolloinsurance.com, or call them up at 888-44-ROLLO. That's 888-44-ROLLO or rolloinsurance.com. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. We're going to talk a little volleyball. Jamie Morrison in studio. Jamie, how are you, sir?
Doing great.
Yeah?
I gave the girls a couple days off. I took a day off yesterday.
Good for you.
Today. Yeah, I know.
During the season, that's hard to do, right?
Yeah.
Especially at SEC part of the season.
Just for coaches, I think there's always something to do. And for our athletes, they have this thing called school. And we got done with a nail biter, I'm sure we'll talk about on Sunday, and then all of a sudden they had to turn around and wake up at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday and go to class. So SEC plays a grind for reasons not just volleyball, and we're in the thick of it.
Can you do some work from home?
Yeah, I try to. I also have a 2.5-year-old, so when I'm
you
around,
need to be home.
Yeah, but when I'm around, I want to be around. Like I don't want to be like dad's off in the corner over there doing work. So I try to balance those two things as much as I can.
Yeah, I get that. Let's kind of go through the weekend. Maybe start off with the game against Texas. The record crowd, 9,236. Just let's talk about the atmosphere, and then we'll get into the game itself.
To anybody that showed up, thank you, first and foremost. And the atmosphere is amazing. And I've often, gone to a football game at Kyle Field and I'm like, oh man, I wonder what it's like to play in front of that. And I think I got a little taste of that, of just you go to, I'm pretty fiery, you go to cheer, and you got 9,232 people behind you kind of being there with you. And it was unlike anything, and I think I said it during the press conference yesterday, anything I've ever been a part of, probably including the Olympics, just because you go to the Olympics and there's people for different countries there, and it's not the whole crowd behind you. It was an amazing atmosphere, amazing experience, and again, I think I've said it on the show, like I took this job because of that seed being planted of that is possible. And that's possible every night, in my opinion, and we'll get there. Yeah,
you're certainly trending in that direction. For the game itself, Texas is good.
Yeah.
Give me some of the good and some of the bad.
Yeah, the good was the second set and the turnaround. I think the first set, I think the crowd shocked us a little bit, and I think it took us some getting used to being like, man, this is what it feels like playing in front of 9,000 people. I think we got our feet under us in the second, and then for me, it's just we've constantly had these matches, and we've had some where we have won, so I'm not saying this in all, where it's like, man, we're right there, and that being a positive from either the fan base, from us, and I thought we were good enough to take the third or fourth and push that match to 5, and then you never know what's going to happen after that. And it's about winning those 2 points in either of those 2 sets and making sure that we can extend that thing to 5, and then, again, battling for 15 points. So the good is we're good. Like that's the thing I know for a fact right now, especially after the weekend. We got to make sure that we're able to push those 2 points within a match.
Well, so you're very close, and I think we've talked before. It may have been last week where you learn a lot in a loss. Unfortunately, sometimes you learn. So being able to go through that battle against Texas, and then you have to move on to Missouri so quickly.
Yeah, that was probably the hardest piece. Like that's such an emotional high and low of winning that, or having that crowd, losing that, and then having to turn around. And I'm going to keep saying it in here because it keeps becoming true. Like I said it before the SEC season start, but man, it's going to be a grind. Like I don't know if I can point to a team and say they're going to win the SEC, and I sure can't point to a team and say they're going to go undefeated in the SEC. You have upsets happening left or right. I think every single night will be a battle.
Yeah, it was certainly a battle against Missouri, too. Yeah. Let's talk about the reverse sweep, because things seemed like they were going one direction, and then all of a sudden it changed. Did you see some signs early on, like, okay, we can right this ship?
I saw some, and we started off well. I was just watching the match. We were up 8-2, and they had one server that went back, and it was one of the most, consistent serves I've seen, like the ability to hit this thing that had some float, that moved around. And I think she rattled off 10 straight points, and all of a sudden we were on our heels. And I thought that infected the rest of our game also, not just serve receive, but we were playing passively across the board. And I thought in the second set, near the end of it, we started to get a little bit more aggressive. And then the third set ended up close, and they stretched out a little bit of a lead. And I've said in the show before that we're going to have different people that can come in, and we threw the 6-2 in there, and Margot and Natal came in and turned that match with a couple blocks, a couple good sets, a couple good swings, and all of a sudden it was 22-22, and we're battling. So I think maybe not even until that run was I like, all right, here we go. And then once we got in the fourth, I felt, all right, we got our footing underneath of us. We're pushing into them a little bit right now. They were starting to make some errors that were uncharacteristic of the first couple sets, and I felt pretty good going into the fourth.
I wouldn't call this a bye week, but you get quite a bit of time between games. Like just what that does. I mean, I know you had a couple days off, but just to work on some fundamentals, to give the mind a little bit of rest and whatnot.
I think it's one of the biggest things. You're trying to manage the load that comes with these matches before. So last week we really had 2 days of practice. And there's no time. It's all prep of, hey, here's how we beat Texas, here's how we beat Missouri. That's literally we send a little video out at the beginning of the week. That was literally the video. It wasn't, hey, let's work on our fundamentals, how to pass volleyball, how to non-set or set and do these things. And when we get 4 to 5 days of practice, all of a sudden we can kick some of that in and relearn some of the stuff we did at the beginning of the year that made us the team that we are. So we'll get to going on that tomorrow.
Let's talk a little bit about Auburn. That's Saturday, is that right? Sunday. Talk a little bit about that matchup.
Yeah, they're number 24 in the country right now. And they've had a really good season and went out, and like I said, you never know who's going to beat who right now. Kentucky, one of the stalwarts at the top of the SEC, went out and beat them in 5 in the first match of the SEC play, and they're 2-0 right now and humming. And I've watched a little bit, the ability to pass the ball. They can run a pretty quick offense, and there'll be some challenges within there that we'll probably start getting ready for probably on Thursday, Friday, and treat the first couple days of practice for what we talked about, a little bit more fundamentals.
As a coach, I don't think you look at things the way fans do, right? Obviously, that's why you're a coach and we're the weirdos. And I mean that with a lot of love. But like sometimes when I watch a football game, let's say, I try to envision what that's going to look like against a different opponent. And some things I'm like, oh, dude, we're going to be able to throw on this team all day. Oh, man, that team's really going to be able to do this against us. As a coach, you're watching your team play. I'm sure you're not thinking ahead, but afterwards you sometimes think, if we do that, that's going to get us beat here. Or if we do that, we're going to be able to beat this team.
Yeah, no, even like this Missouri match, for example. Like traditionally, like if you go back to last year, traditionally they've only been their coach for 2 years, but they were really scrappy and they extended rallies and they would go do these things, and you just had to sit in there and be okay hitting, I don't know, 190, and our hitting efficiency is kills minus errors, but like that's pretty low. And this year, all of a sudden, I'm looking at it, they're hitting like 330, and I'm like, this is going to be an offensive battle. And the first couple sets, like we were hitting 520, they were hitting 560. Like, so you kind of look at that and you determine, hey, in order to beat this team, we need to do A, B, and C. And that might be different for each team. And I'll have a better idea on that in Auburn once I get into some video in the next couple days.
But you feel good about the direction you're going.
Yeah, we're playing good volleyball. And the SEC, like I could see us finishing first. I could see us finishing 10th. Like, and this is why that Missouri comeback was so huge. It was just, you're going to have to fight and claw for every single win in the SEC this year, regardless of who you're playing. And I, again, going back to the football analogy, I've always often wondered where it's like every single game could be the end of your season. Like that's the way the SEC, not end of your season, but like you have to fight for every single win this year. There's no easy days off where you're going to come in here and just be able to go and win 3-0 and get out of here. Like it's going to be a grind against everybody.
So theoretically, and we got to hit a break after this, the 10th team in the SEC could win a national championship. I feel like that's the way you kind of...
They could get close, yes.
Yeah.
And I think we'll end up getting 10 teams into the tournament, which is a really, really high number. But I think it's that deep, and it's just this clump of everyone's going to go on and beat up everybody.
Wow. That's pretty intense.
Makes entertaining volleyball.
Jamie, thank you, sir. Appreciate
Always
you.
Pleasure.
Let's talk a little Aggie Land Car Wash. You know where they are. You can find them on William D. Fitch and, of course, the new location at Texas Avenue. They have the varying wash options, but the new location is the place that has the full-service wash. So if you just want to sit back, let them take care of your car, they can do that there at the brand new Aggie Land Express Car Wash, Aggie Land's first green car wash, where they recycle 100% of their water. And for a limited time, they're going to invite you to try that full-service option for half price. Normally $40, you can get it for $20 off. Just tell them that TexAgs sent you by. And we're going to give a free one away right now. 979-693-1150. The first caller will get a free car wash from Aggie Land Express Car Wash on Texas Avenue. It is Aggie Land Express Car Wash. And we are back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Nicole Griffith, hello.
Hi.
Travis Brown, hello.
How's it going?
What's up, Tyler? David. How are you?
Doing
KBTX
well.
Roundtable, Tyler Shaw, by the way. Friends, are we feeling good? We feeling antsy? How are we feeling about the way the game played out on Saturday, Nicole?
I think we feel good. They came away with a W. I think in the first quarter, with 3 touchdowns scored between the two teams, I was like, okay, this is going to be a shootout. And then
it wasn't.
It wasn't. It was pretty anticlimactic. Arkansas only scoring 3 points in the fourth quarter, and A&M having a couple more touchdowns. But hey, it probably wasn't. It was the Southwest Classic, so you knew it was going to be a classic, but they got the win. So that's really what's the most important.
Travis, are you a skeptic? Are you optimistic from what you've seen? Where are you?
Exactly what you said. They won. They figured out a way to win the last 2 games. I think I don't quite know what the identity of this offense is, what they're going to lean back on, because it's changed a little bit from because things haven't worked. But I do think that they found a way to win, and that's more than this A&M program can say from the last couple of years. So I think that's impressive.
Tyler?
Yeah. Again, it is impressive that they found a way to win. I don't know if I've learned any more from this team from Arkansas than I have seen kind of all year. I think they did what they were supposed to do. And again, like offensively, it is going to be interesting, how they evolve moving forward, and especially if you throw Connor Wigman back in the mix at some point, and what everything looks like.
What I think it'll be very interesting is these offensive-minded teams, right? Like Missouri can score some points. Their defensive numbers look great. We'll find out if they're really that level of defense. But can A&M score enough points? But I guess the flip side, Travis, is how's Missouri going to do with that kind of defense?
If the defensive front has kind of come into its own like it did against Arkansas, that's going to be a big boost for A&M, because at times the secondary is faltered, had a little mistake here or there. When you can get that pressure on, it takes a little pressure off the secondary. But I think you're right. I don't know if Missouri wants to make this a shootout. I don't know if A&M has the firepower right now to make that a shootout. A lot of talking points this week about Marcel's Reed ability to throw the ball downfield. He's 132nd in the country in passes 20 yards or more, and so he needs to prove that. I know Mike Elko was talking a little bit about some of its offensive lines, some of its wide receivers, some of its throwing pressure coming into him, and that all of that is true. But they're going to have to be able to throw the ball downfield a little bit more if they're going to go against one of these offensive teams that are going to put up some points.
We'll say if Le'Veon Moss can somehow duplicate his fourth quarter for
it's the green shoes.
Quarters,
the green shoes
for 4 quarters in a row. I mean, they're going to be unstoppable. But I think the defensive front, and we've kind of seen it all season, but it really just popped against Arkansas, and they're going to need to bring that same kind of pressure against Missouri. Make Brady Cook uncomfortable. Don't let Luther Burden gas you on some of those big explosive plays, which he's capable of. That's going to be key against Missouri team that I'm still not sure how good they are yet. I think this is going to be Missouri's first kind of really big test.
Yeah, Nicole, I don't know who's good outside of the good teams, right? Like the ones we know. Like I think Missouri's that first team outside of the top group that I'm like, they might be in that mix, but they might not be even close.
Mm-hmm. And I think the good thing is that A&M's coming into the game 4-1, and so that they didn't. I feel like the Arkansas game could have been a game where if you lose, then how do you respond against Missouri? We were talking about that with the Florida game. If they lose that game, then how do they respond? So I think they have plenty of momentum going into this game. We say like they need to have the same defensive pressure. I think they'll bring it. It's going to be it's at Kyle Field that the home crowd 12th man will really come through. And I feel like we're finally seeing the defense come into their own. I feel like we were really like, where's the defense? Where's this pressure been? But I think we forget that, this team is still new. Yeah. We're still gelling. And we say like, we're looking for the identity of the offense, the identity of the defense. They're switching quarterbacks, new offensive coordinator. I still feel like each game we're still like learning just a little bit more about this team. And I think with Missouri, we're going to learn a lot.
Tyler, let's keep it with responding. That's one of the things I started the show with, and Coach Elko hit on it yesterday. This team has responded well. Arkansas scores, A&M finds a way to score. Arkansas scores again, A&M finds a way to score. Arkansas takes the lead, A&M comes back with a touchdown. The response in that game, if anything, if you want to talk about how the offense struggled, that's true. But they did respond when they needed to.
Well, even their response all season, and I'll say that's the biggest difference I've seen from this team and this new coaching staff and this new culture than what we've seen in years past is the way they handle adversity and respond. You can even go back to the Bowling Green game when things weren't going well at all, and they still found responses and ways to get through. And then Arkansas, there were times where I thought this thing could kind of get a little crazy, and Arkansas could, some of those big explosive plays that A&M gave up, you could have let that kind of snowball, and Arkansas just really kind of runs away with it. But A&M found a way to respond. Even in the third quarter, where they couldn't get anything going on offense, they did the same to Arkansas to keep Arkansas from kind of growing their lead. So just impressive all around.
Travis, a response?
It's yes. I think to me, the thing I want to see growth on the offense too is it does seem like the play calling is good in scripted moments. They're good at the beginning of the game. They're good right after the halftime most of the time. They're good in the red zone and in 2-minute situations. And several of those times kind of fell into those categories. But in the middle of the third quarter, middle of the second quarter, kind of that middle of the quarter where it seems like they want to either take a lot of shots, like 10 of Marcel Reed's 17 passing attempts were in the second quarter, and 6 of those were past 20 yards. They kind of try to find some identities in these places that just don't work. Some of that play calling in the middle of the quarters, I think, would be good, but red zone play calling has been fantastic, and I think that is, that little tight end slide play to Trey Watson at the end. Yeah. Excellent play call. So it's just a little bit more balance in that play calling in different times. I think not only would bolster that response, but kind of mitigate some of those slow times in the middle of the game.
Nicole, the response overall of that game, and to Travis's point, the play calling was a little different in the second and third, but when it mattered, they were able to turn it on.
Yeah, I think it was just a testament to this team's will and the willpower to get the win, to come away and finish the game. I feel like we haven't seen them finish, and it wasn't pretty. They didn't put them away. Arkansas takes the lead, and you're kind of concerned to oh boy, how's A&M going to respond? But they did, and they were able to find the way to get the win. And I think it speaks to just maybe a new energy, a new mindset, a new focus for this team, and that helps a lot. I like going into this Missouri game, going into conference play, because winning in a neutral site, they've played there before, but it's just different. Yeah. And so it's nice to be able to come away with the win, because it's a lot easier leaving with a win than an L.
When we come back, I want to talk quarterback again, because I got a thought.
Segment 2?
Segment 2, yeah. There's no other people coming in. I wanted double KBTX.
No talking points and double.
Okay. Do you need talking points? Do you? I do, actually. Next time I go on with you, I'm going to need you to give me.
Okay. I won't send them, so.
What? Whenever you're traveling to George Bush, I hope you call Ground Shuttle, the Brazos Valley's premier transportation provider, well known for frequent, reliable rides to George Bush Intercontinental Airport. So if you're trying to get there and you want to get there in style, let them do the driving for you. They are fantastic. You just go there, you park there. It's in South College Station. They're going to take care of you any day. You can book any vehicle in their fleet to accommodate your group size and needs, from luxury sedans to full-size shuttles. It's hassle-free to get your group to sporting events, concerts, corporate meetings, and dinners. It is Ground Shuttle, groundshuttle.com. Let them do the driving. Ground Shuttle. We're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, the KBTX Roundtable. Tyler Shaw. So here's how I feel about quarterback, okay? I want to see what Connor Wigman can do with this offense. A healthy Connor Wigman, if he's healthy, right?
Yeah.
I want to see what he can do beyond the Notre Dame game and a game that matters. I also want to see Marcel Reed keep playing this offense. So basically what I'm saying is I'm being wishy-washy because I want to see them both, and I think that's a good position to be in because they provide different – you can't have two quarterbacks. I know that.
Yeah.
But they both do provide different things that I want to see with this offense. So I'm kind of torn at the moment.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can play the what-if game all day, but you look at Arkansas and a lot of those deep shots that Marcel took and just, overthrew his receiver, you wonder, what if Connor Wigman was back there? And again, you can't really compare it like that. But yes, a healthy Connor Wigman, and we kind of said from the beginning, because of Marcel Reed's ability and his, he's winning these games and he is capable, you don't bring Connor back too soon. You wait till he's fully healthy. But I don't think Marcel's done enough that when Connor is healthy, you say, well, we're going to bench you, and it is Marcel's team.
Right.
So, yeah, I think you do bring Connor back once he's fully healthy. If it's this week, you bring him back and see what he can do. But again,
I also think it's hard to replace Marcel after winning 3 straight games. I think that's just really hard to do.
That is weird, and yeah, it is. It's a very weird situation they're in. And maybe we kind of play this game all year, and he's not back until the end of the year, so it's hard to tell. Travis?
Here's what you do. You put Marcel out there at either slot or wide receiver,
Just
and you run some like 6-man plays. You could do some double passes. You're right. I think they do very different things. I think Connor has a little bit better touch on some of his throws, some of the deep balls, everything like that. Marcel has proven he can create some plays with his legs. I think if you go back to the fourth quarter of that Bowling Green game, if it wasn't for Marcel's legs, or even the beginning of the Florida game, that offense stalls out, and I don't know if they get the rhythm without his legs. So, to me, I like you said, I don't think you move away from the guy who's winning you ball games until that stops. Until he goes out there and throws up an L. If Connor is healthy, I think you got to continue to do what's working because, like we said, things aren't great. They aren't necessarily clicking at 100%, but they found ways to win, and I do think a key part of that is Marcel Reed.
Nicole, if Connor was available Saturday and Marcel got the start, would they have made the change somewhere during that game? And if that happens, then we don't get to see the magic of the fourth quarter. It would have played out differently.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I think it's hard. I think people want there to be a short leash, and anytime if one of the quarterbacks makes an interception or an error, they're like, okay, switch it. We have 2, why not use it? But you don't want to utilize 2 like that. You want to let them play. So I don't know. I don't know how to answer that because would he throw Connor in? I don't know, because in the past, we haven't seen him go straight to Marcel right away. In the McNeese game, we saw him go to Marcel because it was out of hand.
Right.
So.
Well, and Travis, we got about a minute left, but when you think about it, they won a game without Marcel using his legs. And that's impressive how they won. Regardless, when you think of Marcel Reed, it's about his legs. He didn't use his legs.
Right. I think that I think that if Connor gets healthy and they decide to go back to Connor, I do think that they're going to find some packages for Marcel. They're going to, whether it be kind of wildcat or find ways to throw him out there and get him involved in the game because he has proven too much that he is an asset when he does what he does. I just think a lot of sometimes the stagnation of the offense has more to do with the play calling, trying to lean too heavy. Against Bowling Green, it was too heavy against the run game in the third quarter. Against Arkansas, it was too heavy in the pass game in the second. A little more balanced, maybe a little bit more RPO. He settles in a little and gets a little bit more rhythm.
15 seconds.
Stick him in the red zone. Have Connor,
Every
every time. Connor push you downfield, get that offense going, and then, catch the defense off guard by, stick Marcel in. What are they going to do? Who knows?
I want to see them both, and I know that's not a good talk show host talking about. I like what Connor does. I like what Marcel does. So that's a good position.
Throw him in.
I like Jalen too.
Why not?
All right. I like Miles O'Neal. I like him. Everybody. Everybody gets a hug on TexAgs. All right, we're going to hit a break. Thank you, KBTXers. Appreciate you. Talking points next week. You're going to get it at 4 a.m. You won't read it till 7:29.
Correct. Yes.
When we come back on TexAgs Live, Jordan Pugh will be on the program on the Boss Firearms Hotline. See ya. And we're back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. Jordan Pugh, our buddy here, he's going to keep it real. Jordan, good morning, buddy.
What's going on? What's going on? How you doing, man?
I'm good. So I'm going to start off this segment.
Okay.
I think it's going to put you in a good mood, or maybe it'll make you angry. We're about to find out. Okay?
Okay.
So earlier on the show, we had our friend Jamie McCoy on. Were you listening?
No, I was not.
Oh, I see how it is. Oh, thank you. You just listen to yourself. All right. So here's the deal. He talked a little bit about you. And I hope the clip works.
As he normally does.
Yeah, he talked about you. He's very friendly, very friendly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's see if you, want to respond to this from Jamie McCoy.
And then when you talk to Jordan Pugh a little later, say he still can't handle me. Me and Jordan used to have a little feud going back when we were playing. I used to beat him in all the drills. He may try to deny it. Tell him he's still little bro. I love what he's doing on his segment, and don't be scared to reach out.
All right. We may have to clip that and play that for Jordan Pugh a little bit, because I don't think I could do it as poetically as you did.
Well, it's amazing. It's amazing to me how every single year he brings my name up, right? It's usually the people who have adverse effects. They usually lose to you. They usually have detrimental things that happen to them, man, where they always remember the things that tormented them. And they just can't let it go. But it's okay. I mean, I'm saying I love Jamie. I understand that, he was one of the best players that came through, but he just wasn't better than me. I was better than him at everything. Weight room, speed, quickness, ball skills, you name it. It's okay, Jamie. You did your thing. But there's a reason why there's an elite level and there's a good level. I belong on the upper echelon. It's all right, man. I still got love for him. He's my Aggie brother, everything. But it's okay. It's funny how I never mention his name, but he always mentions mine. I still love you, Jamie. And anytime you're ready to lace him up, you let me know.
I had a feeling you'd have a response like that. Jordan, I think, I might be wrong here. I think you and I look at football, you're way smarter than me. I don't mean that, okay? Especially football. But I think we have a similar wavelength when we look at how the game plays out. So I looked at Saturday's game, and I came out like I was in a 12-round fight. Like, as a fan and an analyst, I looked at that game like, man, that game was hard, man. That hurt. And maybe I didn't show my emotion in post-game, but I really thought I was so happy that they won, but that was a tough one for me. How did you kind of internalize Saturday's performance?
I thought it was a good performance. I thought it was a gritty performance by us, right? We have some adverse situations, man, in the opening game against Notre Dame, against Bowling Green, but this was a real adverse situation with the SEC opponent. You can call it a neutral site, but you can still call it a road game. I'm not surprised because we talked about it last week, how I said this could be a trap type scenario, right? Arkansas, they had a dynamic quarterback, dynamic run game. We were able to stifle that, but there were still situations, man, where you're fighting a gritty football team. And that makes you have to be gritty. It makes you have to dig deep. And that's what we saw from the team this weekend, man. I wasn't surprised by the outcome because what we do with Arkansas every year, it seems like it's down to the wire no matter what happens. Every single year, it's just that team. They know us too well. They have our number, but we found a way to win. And the way that we won was by pounding a rock at the end. That's the point. That's the thing that I love the most. So it was gritty. It was tough. I think that's something that helps define you in your season, who you are, your identity. But going in, I knew this was going to be tougher than what people thought. You got the fight that was expected, and we were able to come out on top.
Jordan, when you look at this team, every week we've talked about if you take away that big play, it's going to feel completely different. You take away that big. This was another example of that. Two big plays by Arkansas.
Yep.
That being said, take away the big plays or take away the first quarter. They gave up 3 points. Tell me about what you're seeing from this defense.
Defense travels. We always say that, man. Defense always travels, right? And so when you're looking at Elko, you're looking at his defense. You're looking at how our defensive line is starting to wreak havoc on games. Your boy Nick Scorton stood out, man. He made his presence felt. The defense is keeping us in games. It's allowing us to be able to control games on the offensive end. Now, everything is not going to be perfect. Sometimes you're just going to get beat, like on that first touchdown game. You just got beat. It is what it is. Sometimes you lose contain. Sometimes you fall down. Sometimes you don't fit the gaps. But defensively, we've been sound. Defensively, we played fast. Defensively, we've been physical. And now you're starting to see the pressures come. You're starting to see the sacks come. You're starting to see the defensive line starting to make their presence felt. You saw Nick with a few of the big plays he had. Stewart, I think, with that fumble on the exchange, on that zone read exchange in the game. You're seeing all that stuff take place, and it's allowing our offense to get short fields. It's allowing our offense to play ahead, and it's allowing them to dictate the tempo of the game. So the defense, man, is really, really standing up. They're standing strong. But I expected that coming with Elko coming in. A defensive guy who's known for his hay on the defense. You're seeing his blueprints within the defense. You're seeing him mix and match the schemes really well. And I think they have positioned the players in the right way to allow them to make plays, but most importantly, excel from a defensive standpoint.
One of the things Coach Elko said yesterday was if you look at his history coaching, year 1 to year 2, you see a lot less big plays happening because you learn the system. He's not suggesting that it's going to take a whole season for it, but give me a defensive back's mindset or just the thought process behind it, like why it takes some time for the defense to get on the same page from a communication standpoint to limit some of these big plays.
It's the communication, what you just said. It's understanding the checks and the schemes. Each defensive coach is different on how they want to check and adjust to certain formations that the offense presents. But it's also understanding the fit. One coach may want to fit run a certain way. Another coach comes in and wants to fit it this way. One guy may want to spill. One guy may want to hammer. The way they want to run zones, the way they want to run match concepts. It takes time to get comfortable, right? Especially when you have new people coming in now with the transfer portal. You're trying to get to know guys. You're trying to get to understand how people think. Man, you're trying to build chemistry to where you know where that guy will fit. All that stuff plays a factor. So when you see guys in programs and teams usually jump from year 1 to year 2, it's more so understanding fully now what that coach wants, what he expects, but also what your teammate next to you is going to do. There were certain times when I would play, I would look at how guys would stand. I'm like, okay, I know where he's going. And you just bounce off of that. It's a chemistry. It's a flow to this thing. And that's why you see that big jump. But defensively, though, the reason why defenses usually are better than offenses initially is because at the end of the day, it's a savage mentality. It's see ball, get ball at the end of the day, right? And you want guys who will hunt, who are physical, and who will cause chaos. And that's why you see that stuff translate. But from a defensive standpoint, man, it's a lot of the communication, the cohesiveness as a unit, but most ultimately understanding what that coach is trying to accomplish within that scheme.
All right, let's talk about going to hunt. All right, who is Hunter? Give me some hunters on that defense. What have you seen from some guys that have that mindset that you're talking about?
Well, I'll tell you what, Will Lee's really been impressing me lately. At the beginning of the season, I had my doubts on him, man, but the more and more I watch him, you see a guy who's starting to get comfortable. He's starting to understand where his help is. He's starting to build that confidence on the edge at corner, man. I really think he's doing his thing. I think you see Nick Scorton, man, coming in and really starting to make his presence felt. That guy that we saw at Purdue, we're starting to see that guy now at Texas A&M. And now that's starting to show his head. And he's really starting to create chaos in that pocket, which is bringing Shamar Stewart along. Shamar Stewart is starting to pop. And so now you're seeing these guys, man, they're really starting to create chaos for offenses. And you got Will Lee at the corner position, man, that's being able to lock down guys on the outside. Of course, our safeties, I think all of our safeties have been playing phenomenal. I think every single one of them, from Brooks to Ratcliffe to Bryce Anderson, you name it. I think all three have been doing their thing. And you're looking at guys who are seeking the ball. They're great tacklers in space, and they have really good ball skills. And then we can even talk about Ricks coming on in this past game against Arkansas. What you were seeing is a group of individuals who are starting to come together as a unit, but you also see a group of individuals that are starting to fully understand what Elko and Bates are trying to do defensively. And now it's starting to slowly stack each and every week, and you're seeing it from the D-line down to the secondary now.
Jordan, how does that translate, all right, what you're seeing from this defense against a team like Mizzou that can score?
Yes.
But here's the thing, Brady Cook ain't going to move like Taylor Green, but Brady Cook can read, right? He can make the right throws. So how does it translate against a team that's got, some play? Luther Burden is going to be the best player that they probably faced this year.
I was about to say this is going to be our biggest test of the year. So up to date. When you look at the receiver position, you got Luther Burden and you got Theo Weeds at the receiver position. I think they really got three dynamic playmakers. You got a quarterback who can distribute the football. What has been the game plan against Texas A&M every single week so far? Get the ball out fast. Catch the ball, release the ball. Quick 3-step drops, movement, sprint outs, boots, waggles, because we can't let that D-line get going, right? So now this is a case where our D-line can really start to shine because you have a guy who's going to sit in the pocket. You have a guy who really just wants to distribute and is not going to beat you athletically. So now we can fire off and we can tee off. That now goes into what we'll do in the secondary. But what I want to see this week is I want to see a lot more guys in man coverage. I want to see a lot more guys pressing the point, and I want to see our secondary allow our D-line to get to the quarterback. A lot of people want to go backwards, and they want the D-line to create pressure, which will open up more opportunities for the defensive backs to make more plays on the ball. But the way that teams are playing us, we have to be able to create that opportunity for our D-line. Because people want to get the ball out quick. The way that you stifle that is you get up, you press right now, you take away the initial read from the quarterback, allow him to hold the ball. That's what I want to be able to see, and I think that'll be the game plan going in this week. I think that our D-line has the opportunity to really showcase itself. I think you can see all NFL guys across the board on our D-line really start showcasing their talent in this game. But from an athletic standpoint, these are the best athletes that we've seen offensively all year long, and I think that's going to be the biggest test for us this week.
All right, Jordan, let's talk a little offensively. Quarterback position, I'm not going to hit the same talking point I hit with KBTX, but I'm just going to kind of leave it like this. To me, Marcel Reed, the one thing that I'm really like, I want to see Connor still, but the way he handled his fourth quarter after having a subpar game, I thought, like, even though he wasn't the storyline in the fourth quarter, he made the throws that he had to, which opened up Le'Veon Moss.
We've had 3 games with Marcel. And you had the really high game against Florida, so-so against Bowling Green, good against Arkansas. The one thing that Marcel can do is he can get you out of bad situations with his feet. And the more and more I watch Marcel, the more and more I'm like, this might need to be the guy moving forward for the rest of the year. Because even though we may be out of rhythm, which I thought offensively throughout the entire game, we were just out of rhythm. I don't think we played bad as an offense. I just think that we would do something really well. We would do something bad. We would do something real, do something bad until that fourth quarter came. But Marcel allows you to keep the drives alive with his feet. And that's something that is special, right? I just think overall offensively, man, we're starting to find our stride. We're starting to find a little identity with Marcel at the helm now that we got a 3-game sample size. The run game is really starting to take over, and we're really starting to dominate people in the fourth quarter. That's what you want to see. When you have to put teams away, when you have to put games away, we can rely on that run game with Le'Veon, with the offensive line pushing forward. And that's really going to help a young guy in Marcel be able to make key throws, to be able to have the confidence to know that he can lean on something else when he's not playing at his best. So, man, I'm really interested in seeing how this thing plays out with Marcel at the helm. The more and more I see him, the more and more I'm starting to like him, but the more and more I see what the offense can be with him, especially with the athleticism he possesses with his feet.
Talking to Jordan Pugh here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Regardless if it's Marcel or Connor, when the offensive line is able to do what they're doing, and look, honestly, before I get to the offensive line, this will be part of it. But teams are going to keep putting a bunch of dudes in the box, right? And for some reason, in some way, shape, or form, this offensive line seems to be better at the end of games. And to me, that's like, which obviously opens up a lot of what Le'Veon's doing.
I think that's a lot. The reason why you see that is because that's a lot of just adjustments that we make right throughout the game. That's a lot of schematics too. Going into the game, you got most guys that like to put scripts together. They like to see what the defense is doing. They want to get a feel for the game. The one thing that we've done, and this goes as for the team aspect, from what we talked about earlier with the defense, how the defense allows us to dictate what we want to do offensively, is because they are keeping us in the games and we're never getting out of reach when we're starting off slow offensively. The reason why we get better as an offense, because the games are in reach, but now we have figured out the tempo and we figured out the scheme of the defense throughout the game now, which means we can adjust protections, we can adjust who we attack offensively, and it allows Klein to get into a flow. One of the things that I've noticed so far throughout the entire season is we tend to start slower on offense. But I think a lot of that has to do with what we want to do as far as attacking the defense. I think Klein wants to get a feel for the defense. I think he wants to see how they're playing us, whether it's a too high shell, a heavy box, however he goes about that. And then the adjustments made along the way, you start to see us progress and move forward and really excel. So I think a lot of that is schematic from our end, but also it's the maturity factor. Guys that have played for a period of time, the cohesion within the group, you're seeing that take over as games go later on, further on into the fourth quarter.
And then the wide receivers, look, it feels like each game there's a new guy auditioning to be the guy, right? Like you had Cyrus Allen game this past game. It was obviously Noah Thomas. What are you seeing from that group collectively?
I see a group that's inconsistent. I see a group that can make a big play one time, then they fail to get open on the next play. I see a group that is just inconsistent right now. It's not ability, it's the consistency factor. The one thing that I'll say, man, I've been a big Moose guy. To me, that is the guy that every time I see him in there, he's making plays. And I think he brings the big play factor, which allows us to allows our guys to open up and play freely, more one-on-one matchups with the rest of our receivers. I just think that we have got to find a core group. You got to find a guy within a group that can take the top off the defense. You got to find the possession receiver, and you have to find the physical receiver within the group. And I think we're still mixing and matching and trying to find what that core is as far as the receiver group. It's just the inconsistencies right now, and I think that's slowing down the progression of the offense. But they always make plays when it's needed to be made. That's the one thing I can say about this group. So we got to find the core group. We got to find those guys who provide the cohesion for Marcel, but they got to be able to make plays consistently. That's what's killing us offensively right now.
So something that's been consistent has been the tight ends. Maybe not a big volume of catches, but they are used in a way that are backbreakers, right? 3 straight games with a touchdown. When you think about some of the talent they have at tight end and potentially linebackers that have to cover up with them, what do you like that you're seeing from that group?
I see a diverse group that's built on blocking first. So when you look at our run game, a lot of it has to do with the tight end type look, being able to seal edges. But also you're seeing a safety net. The way that we're using our tight ends is in a safety net fashion for Marcel. But that safety net fashion comes in big spurts and big plays. You see a lot of seam routes down the middle of the field. You see a lot of intermediate pass game or passing concepts where Marcel can hit them whenever he's in a bind. You're seeing guys that just make plays and they're steady. To me, they have been a key factor in the success that we've had offensively because they have opened up big-time runs by sealing edges, but also they have gotten us out of binds anytime that we've been flat or Marcel can't find an open receiver. We've been able to find that safety net. So I think they've been key in our success offensively. I would like to see a little bit more use of them. I would like to see a little bit more movement of the pocket to be able to get them in space a little bit more. But they have been a key role and key to our success offensively.
All right, so you feel good about this matchup against Mizzou? Do you feel like the way the defense is playing and maybe some of the highs or maybe just overall offense that we've seen, do you feel good about this matchup?
I feel good about the matchup because we're a more physical football team than Missouri is. That's what I think. Watching them play, I think they want to be a finesse team, finesse ball. They have the capability of being a physical team, but I don't know if they want to play that way because of the talent that they have on the outside offensively. Defensively, or speaking of them defensively, I think we overpower them on the offensive line. I think we may be even in skill set as far as the skilled players, our receivers, their DBs, that kind of thing. Our advantage is the run game and the offensive line. Defensively, this is where the game is going to turn for us. We've got to be more physical than they are. I think that we can dominate their offensive line. I think that we have to be great tacklers in space this week. Their receivers are dynamic and they're great playmakers. They're going to try and get the ball into their playmakers' hands in space quickly within 5 to 7 yards. How do we handle that? Can we press? Can we tackle in space? Can we make the great open field plays that we need to make from a defensive back standpoint? That's the key to me. We're more physical than them, but we can't get into a track meet because that's the game that they want to play.
Jordan, great stuff, buddy. We'll talk to you very soon, all right?
All right, man. Let's do it.
See you, man. Jordan Pugh on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll get some SEC storylines on the other side. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You can find them on Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. They constantly have really good deals on vehicles. So when you're looking for a vehicle, you go to their website, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. You'll see the kind of vehicles that they have, get a feel for it. But then when you're ready to make the drive out there, you're going to go and you're going to have a great car buying experience. And they have several different types of cars for you to buy. Commercial vehicles with service body trucks. They have the flatbed trucks. They have several medium-duty trucks for heavier jobs. Again, they are the place to go. And when you buy a vehicle from Caldwell Country Chevrolet, this is what you know. Well, this is what I can tell you. And you'll know after I tell you. Free oil changes for life on the purchase of your Caldwell Country vehicle, as long as you own that. They have complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. They are a proud supporter of Aggie Athletics. You need to make the drive. 15 minutes, the edge of Bryan to the beginning of Caldwell. Short conversation away. But you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. We are TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 3 of the program. In a few minutes, we're going to talk to a Missouri insider, get some thoughts on that dynamic wide receiver core, how the defense has played, really good numbers, but how much of that has been the opponents they have faced. A lot of it is, but maybe they can live up to that potential. But before we do that, let's get some SEC storylines. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Callie Gardner. Calita, what do we got?
Yeah, so I have a couple things I wanted to kind of talk to you about. And I first wanted to start with the Alabama and the Georgia game. I kind of wanted to talk about what happens if if Ryan Williams doesn't go for that 75-yard touchdown and Alabama ends up losing that game 30-7 with score after being up 30-7 at halftime. What kind of conversation are we having Sunday morning, Monday morning about Kalen DeBoer if that was the case?
He's 6-0 against the top coaches in the SEC. So he would be 5-1 in that case. I think, there would be some jabs that would go his way. How do you blow a 30-7 lead at home? That for sure would be a storyline. Right. But I do think there'd be a little bit of grace and patience, especially considering how well he has done. But now that he's won that game, now the feeling is the transition from Nick Saban to Kalen DeBoer. You went from a legend to maybe another one, and that's one of the hardest things to do when you go from one coach to the next. I'm not ready to call him a legend just yet. What I am saying is that it's kind of like this won't make sense to you, but to some of our audience, this has the feeling of a potential Joe Montana to Steve Young kind of situation, where Steve Young was brought in to be the guy to succeed Joe, but Joe kept on going for a few years. Joe was a legend, won all the Super Bowls. And then Steve comes in and does get a Super Bowl, I believe, in his second or third year starting. And just to be able to have that kind of passing of the guard from a legend to another one. The Rockets went from Akeem Olajuwon to Yao. Not that Yao was Akeem level, but to be that, skilled and great, have that much of a top-tier player at that position. It feels like that might be setting up nicely for Alabama. Storylines, though, would have been, how do you blow that lead? And then the other storyline would be like, Georgia's been playing with fire all season long, yet they find a way to win.
Right. Absolutely. Next thing I wanted to discuss was the faking the injury and the Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, and he's been the most outspoken kind of about.
Stop. Lane Kiffin, here it is. I don't have a problem with teams doing that, Callie, right? But I don't want you to be a freaking hypocrite. And if you're going to be a hypocrite, at least hey, I shouldn't have handled that A&M situation with Bryce Anderson the way I did. I was wrong. He didn't do that. So if you are going to do that more than anybody I've seen, and maybe I've seen him more because my eyes are on them doing that, if you're going to do that, you don't have any, to me, it is a disgrace to say one thing and do the other. And so you probably had a question, but I just wanted to make sure I got that in there.
It was that. It was just, I wanted to know.
I think it's ridiculous, right? To have hand signals for your guy to go down. I know it happens. I'm sure it's probably happened across the street too, right? I'm sure it happens. But don't be the one who says, don't go speeding in the neighborhood, and then you're the guy speeding in the neighborhood. Don't be that guy. And Lane Kiffin is that guy. What else?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to also get your thoughts on Texas and their struggles early against Mississippi State. They pulled it together for sure, but you had Toledo who put up 41 on Mississippi State in Starkville, and then Texas only put up 35 when they were in Austin. Kind of what was that due to Arch being the quarterback, and would that have happened under Quinn Ewers, or what do you think?
I think Arch is doing just fine. I will say that it's the SEC, brother, and I'm not saying that I expected that kind of game. What was it, 7-6 midway through the second quarter, right? I'm not saying that was expected. What I will say about the entire situation is that Texas cannot sleepwalk like they did in the Big 12 to a chance. This team is loaded, unfortunately. They have a very top-tier quarterbacks, plural. I think Arch is pretty darn good. I wasn't expecting Arch to be as good as he's been so far. It helps when you have great skilled position players around you. But he has been really good. I'll give him his due. But I hope it's a sign of things to come, but I don't necessarily think it is a sign of things to come because they did end up winning significant points. Maybe not as many points as everybody expected, but that's life in the SEC. You're going to get hit in the mouth. there are not many cupcakes, and obviously Mississippi State was not a cupcake for half that game.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do one more?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts going back to Ole Miss a little bit. So they, had a really, really easy first 4 games, and then they walk into the SEC and they get embarrassed by Kentucky at home, and then they face South Carolina this week. What kind of conversations are we having about Ole Miss? Then they go to play LSU. South Carolina, we know, beat Kentucky early on in the season by a pretty significant amount of points. So what are we thinking about Ole Miss right now?
That loss to Kentucky puts them as one of those teams that I don't know if will make the playoffs. Now, I know Georgia's in that conversation right now because even though everybody knows how good they are, they already have a loss, and they still have they still got to go to Austin. They got a lot of games. But Ole Miss also, even though they don't have the toughest of schedule, Nick, maybe if you can put that up there for a moment for me, I do think that Ole Miss is in jeopardy as well because that game that you expected to be a gimme was not a gimme against Kentucky. A Kentucky team that was embarrassed by South Carolina. Now you're taking on a South Carolina team. And that game is at South Carolina, is that right?
Yeah, it's in South Carolina.
I'm struggling with that one for Ole Miss. I could see them having back-to-back losses. They shouldn't have back-to-back losses, but I could certainly see it. So this is what they have left. They've got South Carolina at South Carolina. They've got LSU. They've got Oklahoma. They've got at Arkansas, Georgia, and Florida, Mississippi State. So let's say they split the next 2 games, okay? That's 2 losses. Then Georgia. They might be a 9-3 team, right? And for a team that had, in the 12-team playoff that they thought they had arrived, that Kentucky game makes this South Carolina game and the LSU game must wins. Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to hit a break. When we come back on TexAgs Live, I don't know why I did the Ags, so like TexAgs Live. David Nuño on the zone. I don't know why I did that. But anyway, we'll come back. We'll get a little Missouri insider information. I want to find out a little bit about that receiving core. As good as they are, Luther Burden, Theo Weiss, they are legit. Let's find out what's happening this season from an insider who sees it all. Right now, we're talking Heritage Films. That is Chance McClain's company. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. They make documentary films about families. That's what they do. They make it about family businesses and family ranches. And if you've got a family or you're alive, you have a story. We all have stories. Callie has a story. I have a story. Nick has a story. We all have a story to tell. And what Heritage Films lets you do is tell this story in a Netflix-style documentary, preserve that story. So if you've got a family business, he can do that. If you have a lot of family get-togethers, let them be an eye in the sky and tell that in a 2-hour documentary form. I'm telling you, you're going to love Chance McClain and Heritage Films. I'm telling you, it is the absolute best. Yourheritagefilm.com is the website. Check it out or call him up directly. He'll answer. He'll talk to you. He'll talk to you about politics, Aggie football. He's a good old boy. He'll talk to you about anything. 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341 is Heritage Films. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. We're joined by Jarod Hamilton of Power Mizzou to talk a little Mizzou football. Jarod, how you doing, man?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for joining us here on the program. So help me understand Mizzou, because obviously I know they're a top 10 team. You look at the numbers, right? They look fantastic. Offense is scoring, 36.5. Defense is one of the top 10. But are they really that, considering who they have played? You see them up close. You see some of the issues that they've had. You see some of the good things that they've had. What level of team is Mizzou, or are we still trying to figure that out?
They're definitely, that top 10 to top 15, I think that's legit. They have the talent. They've got eight returning starters on offense. They've got, offensive coordinator Kirby Moore coming back, Brady Cook coming back. So they've got a lot of continuity on offense. I think the big thing that Missouri fans may be worrying about a little bit is the passing game, the deep passing attack. I mean, that was kind of the rave of the offseason of all these weapons they have. Their top 7 receivers. I don't know how many times you hear that in college football, but their top 7 receivers returning with the quarterback and the OC. Like I mentioned, you think it'd just be fireworks, and it hasn't really been that. If you look at the stats, kind of like you said, the numbers look good and stuff like that, but they haven't been able to hit the deep ball consistently. Part of that is teams, playing over the top coverage, not letting them do that. Part of that is just them trying to still get their rhythm a little bit, which sounds crazy to say again with all the continuity. But it's a pretty good team, but this is definitely a test. They were tested in their last outing versus Vanderbilt, tested the week before that versus number 24 or then number 24 Boston College. So this is a big game, especially considering it's their first one on the road this year.
Well, let's talk about that offensive line, because I look at A&M's defensive line, and that's an area where I think they can cook. How good has the offensive line been for Mizzou this year?
It's been all right. First couple of games, they had a lot of penalty issues, and they cleaned them up in the third and fourth game. They allowed a few pressures. It's not been terrible. They're really good in the run game, though. In the run game, that's where they kind of are making their hay. Nate Noel, he was SEC Player of the Week for Week 4 when they played Vandy. He had 199. That was a career high for him. He's got a couple 100-yard rushing games. So he's been doing really well. The run game can get it moving. I think the problem is sometimes they just want to go back to the passing attack just a little bit. And so at times that can be a problem when you have guys like Nick Scourton and Shamar Turner and those type of guys, coming off the edge or in the interior. They've got to be ready. They've got to be ready. So offensive line has been all right. Maybe not as great as everyone hoped, but they're still trying to gel. They've got 2 new pieces on the left side, and Caden Green at left guard and Marcus Ryan at left tackle.
Brady Cook, how quick of decisions does he make? Because you look at Taylon Green last week for Arkansas, and he was just slippery, right? He wasn't the best thrower of the football. Brady Cook can do that. He can throw the ball, but how quickly does he go through his progressions?
Brady, since this is my 3rd year covering the team, and so my first year covering the team was his first year starting, and that used to be the thing. He used to be a one read and trying to scramble type of guy. He's definitely improved on that. This year he's doing all right. Again, some of his throws may be a little off target, and it's hard to say that because if you look at his stats, he's being really efficient this season. It's just, again, about connecting with his receivers downfield, but he's good on his reads. I mean, he hasn't been the runner or scrambler we're used to. I mean, he's a pretty elusive runner. He can make you miss in space for sure. But last game in Week 4, I mean, I asked him, is everything all right? It was a little bit slippery. It was a little bit rainy. I know that, but there's something seemed a little bit off as far as his run game, his run style. He said everything was all right. So, I mean, I have got to take him at his word, but I mean, he makes his reads. He's a safe with the ball. He's not really going to turn it over. And that's something Eli Drinkwitz is really happy about when he talks about him. That's one of the first things. But he makes the reads. He can do he does what he needs to do.
Do you think the game against Vandy was more of an indication of Vandy's better than we've expected, even though we've kind of know that outside of the Georgia State game? Or is it Mizzou just wasn't firing?
A little bit of both, but I'm going to say more so the latter.
Okay.
There's not really no one could have expected that you're going into double overtime versus Vanderbilt. And Drinkwitz said it himself in his post-game press conference after that game. The team bailed him out. There was some really questionable game management in that game, whether it was right before halftime where he basically handed Vanderbilt 3 points, or whether it was, at the end of regulation and punting the ball and then burning a timeout before they punted. They basically could have forced Vandy to punt one more time in regulation from their end zone, basically, and they could have done something with it. And so he admitted he kind of messed that up. Blake Craig, SEC kicker of the week before that game, he misses 3 field goals. Obviously, he bounced back and hits the game winner in double OT. But I mean, how do you go from 4 of 4 to 3 of 6? So they definitely left a lot of points on the board. They got beat for another deep touchdown, 67-yard touchdown. They've allowed 6 touchdowns this season. 4 of them have come on blown coverage. So they're really good on defense, but then you can get that big play, and because the offense isn't doing what it needs to do or to the level they expect it to be, those big plays loom large. So it seemed like Missouri, in a way, kind of sleptwalked through that game.
I want to go back to defense here because I'm looking at, their top 10 in defense, 51-0 over Murray State, 38-0 over Buffalo, 27-21 over Boston College, 30-27 Vandy. I'm looking at these teams, and I think Vandy can move the ball, but offensively, they haven't really been tested, correct?
You're talking about Missouri's defense hasn't been tested.
Sorry, Missouri's defense hasn't been tested by a real offense just yet, is what I meant to say.
Yeah. So, of course, obviously those first couple of games, facing the FCS team, a Buffalo team on the lower end of the FBS spectrum. Boston College, I mean, they're a decent running team, obviously with Castellanos and the running backs they got, and Missouri was able to kind of shut them down. Again, the fact that they scored 21 points is crazy because outside of those 3 plays, Missouri had them in check for the whole time. So, again, back to the big plays. But, yeah, this will be a little bit different this week facing Texas A&M team where I don't know if Missouri, no one knows who they're starting at quarterback. I mean, Le'Veon Moss is coming off a season high 117 yards versus Arkansas, and I just looked it up. Arkansas was averaging allowing teams to rush for less than 83 yards a game. So he did that versus a pretty big time defense, and Missouri's going to have to step up to that. And so not only you got to prepare for the quarterbacks, you don't know which one you're getting, but they also got a pretty good running back themselves. So this will be a true test versus a team that can run the ball and I'm sure can pass it a little bit as well.
I want to bring that up for a moment because I don't want to say the numbers are a little bit deceiving, but that game against Arkansas, A&M was not able to run the ball for most of the game until the fourth quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, Le'Veon was able to rush for 90, which is more than Arkansas was giving up per game. When you talk about Missouri's defense, do they like to, I think it's a 3-man front, is that correct for the most part? Do they like to put a lot in the box? Give me a little bit of just kind of break that down for me.
So they do a lot of different things. They're typically 4-2-5. They like to run with a star, so an extra safety as opposed to the extra cornerback. They'll switch it up. They'll do the 3-man front thing that you're alluding to. At times I've seen them do 5-2. I mean, they'll mix it up with a lot of different things. They've got a lot of athletic linebackers that we say up here that they have 4 guys who could start. So they got a good rotation there. Defensive line is solid. The biggest question though is cornerbacks. I think that was the big question going into the season as far as just the depth. They're pretty good in the run game, and it's going to be big on the linebackers, particularly Chuck Hicks, Corey Flagg, Tristan Newsom, Khalil Jacobs. They've got to be able to contain Moss, and if they can do it, you were saying Arkansas was doing the first 3 quarters, then they'll be all right. But last week, or I guess a couple weeks ago, Diego Pavia, he was able to make some plays, happen with his legs, and he was able to make those linebackers and miss and stuff like that. So they're susceptible to, missing tackles and things like that. But they've been pretty good against the run. They're good with their gap discipline. But again, this is probably the best rushing attack they faced this year.
Jarod, let's talk a little bit about what this season could look like, because I'm looking at their schedule here, and I'm like, they don't have the hardest of SEC schedules. I almost look at this game against A&M, their first road game, by the way, as a must-win because of maybe the level of schedule. Am I right about that? And is that how Mizzou is looking at it?
For the most part, yes. With this 12-team playoff now, I mean, you can afford a loss. And what happened for Missouri during the bye week, excuse me, they've got a lot of teams around them, in the top 10 that some of them won. Like the fact that they got 3 ranked opponents, A&M, Oklahoma, Alabama, all those teams won, that obviously helps them. You want the teams you're facing to have a good record and stuff like that. And then all the teams around them, Miami faltered a little bit. They didn't lose, but they faltered a little bit. You had Utah fall, and there's another team, Ole Miss fell. So they had that going for them. As far as their schedule, you're right. Like, this is a big game, though, for the most part. So they've got to win. Like, I gave you basically a caveat. Like, yeah, I guess they could win out. But winning in Alabama, to be honest, most people already have that marked as it's just going to be a loss. So you definitely need to win this game. That would be great to get that on their schedule. And on top of that, Oklahoma, they're doing well right now. But when you look at their schedule, by the time Missouri faced them, and it doesn't mean Oklahoma can't win, but by the time Missouri faces them, will they be a ranked team, or are they still going to be hovering at the bottom of the top 25 just because of how many good opponents they faced beforehand? You know what I'm saying? So they definitely want to get this one on the road at A&M.
All right, last thing for you. Should, and I think the answer is going to be yes on offense. I don't know about defense, but should Missouri's offense be better than they were last year? Should, and we'll see how it plays out. And defensively, should they, even though they have a change of defensive coordinator, right? They have, is it Corey Batoon, who's now the new DC. So should they be better this year defensively or no?
So on offense, they should be better considering the continuity and what we've seen from the running backs. They've replaced Cody Schrader really well. And they talk about Cody Schrader. It seems like Cody Schrader comes up every press conference and they like him and what he brought in the story. But Nate Noel and Marcus Carroll have been great in the backfield. They're okay there. But again, with all that continuity, the pieces they've got, they probably should be better than their offense. The offense was last year. I don't think they're that far off from the offense last year. As far as the defense, they lost 5 players to the NFL, so they should be worse. And they're actually playing better. Like that, the story of the season is the defense is doing better than the offense, and the defense was more of the concern going into fall camp. So they're playing well.
Great stuff, Jarod. I appreciate your time, man. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, Jarod Hamilton there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. You can find his work at powermizzou.com. We'll hit a break here. We'll come back with one final segment here on TexAgs Live. Right now, we're talking about FBS, and they're a team of experts that are there to help you find the appliances that make your house a home. They have all the top brands, but really when it comes to getting the top appliances with the best customer service and the best service technicians, you need to use the good people there at FBS. They pride themselves on offering a comprehensive solution that sets them apart from the competition. Their services do not stop at sales. They offer expert installation carried out by skilled technicians. They're committed to delivering an exceptional experience from start to finish. You can trust them to provide unparalleled service and support every step of the way because FBS wants to be your trusted appliance store. Visit any of their 8 showrooms across Texas. They've got one right here on Wellborn in College Station. Find them online at factorybuilderstores.com. That is factorybuilderstores.com. Time to end the day with Double Dave. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggie Land since 1984. They have your favorite pizza, and they have your favorite world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. Nick, I'm going to bring the conversation we had off air on air. So you think after I go hang out with my friends at Bird Dog, right, Jonathan Lusk and company, and I go on this first hunt, you say I'm going shotgun shopping immediately after.
I believe. Well, yeah, I think so. I think the hunting bug is going to get you. Yeah, definitely.
The bug has gotten me already. Like, I haven't even gone, and I'm like super excited about this. It's going to be fun. For those of you who haven't heard about it, the all-inclusive hunt, you can check out the information on it. birddogit.com/TXAGS. I don't know why I said the A like that. birddog.com/TXAGS hunt. Check it out, and you can hang with us. Galita, give us a text or a thought here before we call it a day.
Yeah, we have a text, and it says, on the last drive where Moss was ripping Arkansas, they had their third-string defensive end in there instead of Landon Jackson. Was it a result of wearing them down due to Moffitt's conditioning? Who knows, but we benefited from it for sure.
I have to go back and watch that. But look, I will not apologize for other people's injuries. I will not apologize for people being on the bench. I will not apologize for them getting oxygen and helping out A&M. I don't care. Because I've seen offensive linemen go down for the year, multiple. I've seen quarterbacks over the years go down. I've seen it every year, actually, every freaking year. So I don't care. I don't like that it happened to you, but if I benefit from it, if A&M benefits from it, high five to everybody. All right, join the Association of Former Students at the Clayton W. Williams Jr. Alumni Center for a pregame party this Saturday, October the 5th, as the Aggies are going to beat the hell out of Missouri. Grab your friends and join the Aggies from classes 2013 and 2024. For the Young Alumni Kickback, tickets are $30 and available for purchase at tx.ag/YA Kickback24. The party starts at 9 a.m. It's going to have all-you-can-eat tacos from Fuego, beer, and seltzer, thanks to Yi Ling, Aggie Lemonade, music from DJ Bear, and yell practice with former Yell leaders. After the party, sit with friends at the football game by purchasing tickets at a reserved block for Young Alumni Kickback. A link to the purchase for the discounted football tickets will be provided in your tailgate confirmation email. The address to get this information, tx.ag/YA Kickbacks24. All right, tomorrow on the program, I think there's going to be a very famous SEC Network, ESPN personality that will be on the show. I think it'll be tomorrow. If not, it'll be Thursday, but it'll be soon.